right, and we're live here at the station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I am joined by Michael Todd Schneider of Maggot Films. You got a lot of stuff coming out. Something that's been in the works forever, and that is the Profane Exhibit. And we're going to be talking about that and all kinds of stuff. So it's good to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
And congratulations.
And I have to congratulate you as well, because people made the internet, and then there was porn, and then there was Without Your Head.
Right.
So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think you have been here from the start.
Yeah, I think it might. People tell me the term podcast was around longer, but I had never heard of it when we were doing the show. We called it internet radio, and so it's pretty wild to. When we started, people were like, "I don't want to be on the internet. I only do terrestrial radio." Now it's like the reverse of that, because people wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, I want to go on a radio show out of Poughkeepsie," instead of being like, on the internet. So it's very weird to think about. Oh, look at that. We got terrible Troy here, but we're also blocking off Michael's head. So we're going to switch us around.
Oh, no. Switch. Yeah.
No,
Flip flop us around.
I came prepared. Yes. So the terrible one has joined us.
I am here.
Yeah.
How's it going?
I'm great. How about you?
Excellent.
Good.
So I'm going to grab this here. The Profane Exhibit. Now, I've heard about this movie for literally over a decade. And so it's finally out, which is really exciting. From Unearthed Films. So just first of all, what was the wait like? Knowing, you made your part of this, and then just waiting for it to actually be released for everyone to see.
It is quite surreal, because the paper trail goes back to 2010, and then proper production began in 2011. And I wrapped the final shot New Year's Eve going into 2012. And we began doing some screenings, which my segment didn't screen until many years later. But I went around to the conventions, and 2013, this thing had blown up, and we were doing huge panels. There were a lot of people involved that aren't in the final iteration, because it blew up to become larger than its ability, because there was it was literally just so massive at one point that at the end of it would find its final voice. But yeah, to be from when we began, here we are on the lucky 13th year to see it finally gestate.
So how did you get involved initially?
What is wild is it wasn't an anthology at first. It was a promotional short they were going to use to raise funding for a feature version of the story. And Manna, she had this idea for a short that could potentially become a feature if they could get the financing. She met another producer, and he's like, "Oh, I'll show you the ropes." So they hired a ghostwriter to write the version of this story I was pitched. I loved the story. And then I got this first draft of the screenplay, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's a trip up to Edmonton. It's a director for hire. And if I can make it work, maybe it could be something." Because I loved the idea. Her story was incredible. And about 2 weeks beforehand, it was like, we're in touch with a bunch of directors around the world. Maybe we can do an international anthology. Mm-hmm. And then the fire was on to make it something greater. But the thing was, the reason I was hired to begin with was because of my involvement with Mortem. So that was the reason she sought me out. And so it was, of all the work for hire, it was the one time I was sought out for that inclusion of that film, ironically. And then that became the theme of the different directors, were different profane type films and things that were breaking the boundaries of the potential of cinema, and they were sought out for those reasons in different cultures and different walks of life. But so we shot in Edmonton, and then I came back to Pittsburgh, did a revision of the script, shot more in Pittsburgh, because now it's an international anthology. I wanted to inject Americana and culture into it, so that it actually had the American sort of voice. So a lot of the venues are significant to my past work, what I'm known for, and different things. So it was quite exciting to finally find a means to put a voice to it, to make it my own, which, because that first draft, I was like, oh, but that's the challenge. You step to the occasion and fail greatly, or just say, oh, I can't. But if you can't, then why rise to the occasion if the opportunity is there.
So the first, the draft you see when it's just a feature and it's not a short, was it like anything like your short became, or what was like the story at that point?
Well, it was going to be a promotional short initially, so it was just a short script. There was no feature draft. It was just the concept was we could pitch this isn't for monetary gain, the initial idea, and that was what I was initially hired for. So unlike the other directors, that was the unique thing of when I signed on, was it was not to be seen outside of investors. So I was like, oh, well, I'll fly up, direct something. If they like it, it gets financed. If not, nobody's seen it, And so it was sort of a shot in the dark of I'll face my fears of something that I don't know how in the hell I can make this work. But then 2 weeks before, it was like, no, now it's an international anthology, and we are going to show it. Now it is going to be seen, and now how do I inject? And so I was kind of up against the fear, because I had a release, the first release that Our Devil's Night was in, which is like full circle to now as well. And that was how we scheduled this shoot. The initial shoot was there. I was like, don't fly me back to Pittsburgh. That hopefully I can save you some money. Just fly me back to Toronto. We're going to work this convention. We're going to do this release of our own. So that way I had some money coming in from our release. And it was an anthology. It was called Double Dose of Terror. And our segment was Our Devil's Night. And so I had a layover halfway up in Toronto, passed over disc to my buddy Ryan O'Neill, and he made copies and stuff like that. And then he helped do the first redraft, and there were these monologues in the first version that I just was like, I'll figure it out in the editing. I don't know how to make this work. These are and so if you watch the Blu-ray, there is a documentary short companion where after the passage of time, for me, the gift of the release not coming when it could have was to look back and say, this is quite incredible that we shot this stuff, because it is enjoyable in a different league of its own. And to see sort of a live by example of, well, if I just directed this and handed it over, and then an editor did their pass, this could have been a tremendously different film. And they're hilarious. There were like these like women empowerment speeches of, we take this man's eye so we can see the side of man. And I was like, I'll figure it out in the editing. And the editing there wasn't the time length to include it, so I could just scalp it. But after some time, I went back and I'm like, this stuff is incredible. It's so fucking hilarious. So on its own, it makes for a great companion and a great live by example for any artist that wants to pursue work for hire, because the challenges are incredible. And so that was the one gift for me personally of this long journey, was to see the worth of the stuff on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. So how does it, so if you're going to write something or make something at that time, just to like, this is like a pitch almost or whatever, how does that change it when it's going to be seen, by people, and it's going to be part of an anthology? Like what are the different thought processes? Because it's like, if it's just a pitch, are you just going to go for just like, this looks cool, as opposed to this? How does it differ?
That was what was interesting for me. Was it was tremendously a different experience for the other directors, because when they were invited on, they knew what they were stepping onto. When I signed on, it transformed, and so my experience was so much different. But that was the gift in the end, was having this companion documentary short where you could see this like other world, this other thing. And I don't know if you got to check that out yet or not. It's called Awakening Manna.
No, I haven't watched all the one thing,
Okay.
and not just because, but Unearthed, and I want to say other people too, because there's a lot of people send us cool stuff, Vinegar Syndrome stuff. But when when they put out a disc now, they're loaded with stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
You're not just getting the movie. You're
It's a commitment. You've got to pack a lunch for that thing.
Which is smart though, because with streaming, you have to have an incentive. It's cool to support it and get physical media.
Yep.
But for most people, they're going to want like all this cool stuff. And this is loaded with stuff. And I will check all of it out, because I am I genuinely am into all the cool stuff on the Blu-rays.
Yeah. And so that was the thing, was how to make this thing that I liked the inception. I liked Amanda's idea. So I made tributes in the final iteration to pay tribute to that. And it was incredible. And, flash forward, and we had the premiere, and I showed her the companion short, and I wasn't sure we were going to include it. And then you'll see it in the documentary aspect, where we have tears in our eyes. We're laughing so hard.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so full circle of like, oh my God, this is what it could have been. Like it was like a cheese fest, but to what the final version is, which I'm still to this day very proud of, because of the other directors, I had the most to lose and the most to gain. And so I sort of put it all on the line to, how do I make this something I'm quite proud of, when on paper I'm so intimidated, I'm terrified. It's not of my voice. Like I could write what I know I can make, but this isn't something I know how to realize. So it was the ultimate challenge. But then coming back to Pittsburgh, doing the new draft, so that it's more injecting the Americana, and we did the effects inserts and stuff like that. That allowed it. And actually it was like, I love Nicholas Roeg. He did Don't Look Now, Eureka. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, and one of my great strengths that I'm it's not ego. I'm just, because I've spent thousands of hours editing, that I'm aware. Like everything else, I'm like, okay, well, I'll figure my way. But with editing, I'm quite sound, and I thought, well, I could do a tribute to Nicholas Roeg, because he would juxtapose points of time in such a unique way. And so that was how I felt I could make the idea behind Manna unique. So there was like the present and then the future, going back and forth, and showing this is actually a bigger thing happening. And also how it comes out of the woman's throat and then goes in back into the birth canal, and it's the full circle of life. I was very proud of that.
Yeah, no,
given the cannibalism theme,
Yeah, well, when I went into the movie, I really thought Profane Exhibit, I heard so much about it. I really just thought it was going to be all gore, and there is a lot of gore and stuff, but there's a lot of there's more to it than that. There's more to it to each of the shorts, and some of them don't have gore, honestly, and some of those ones are The Sins of the Father, I think, is like, I was like, oh, this is really good. There's a lot of really good shorts involved that are disturbing in a different way than just gore.
Because they're personal.
Yeah.
A lot of them they're all based in some sort of fact, whether it's a personal experience, because Amanda realized a lot of the stories, some through experience, some through research, because she had sort of dug across the world for different sort of themes that were abject to the narrative once it became what it became. And so that is the through line, is her voice, really, which is really great. And that's The Sins of the Father is very personal to her. It was something very reminiscent of that she experienced.
Oh, wow. So, by the way, I tried to have I talked to Amanda about coming on, and maybe down the road, but she's taking a break from doing stuff right now. But she was really excited that you were coming on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
she's like my blood sister. We connected
too cool.
Through acid bath. I had to wear this because I was kind of the
Oh,
connective
nice.
tissue.
is that a James Balsamo shirt?
No, it's the band.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was thinking James Balsamo's Acid Bath. All right.
Yeah, no. They were a band I grew up when I was in high school, and was just bread and butter of my, my oral soul.
Okay.
And the various musicians, Dax Riggs mainly. He went off, and he's actually in 2 of my films as a little appearance, which is pretty wicked.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, Amanda, she picked me up at the airport, and she had kind of a variety of music playing, and then Acid Bath came on, and then we both started singing Acid Bath. And it was like, all right, I've found my kindred spirit.
Yeah.
That was kind of our like ongoing joke, but yeah.
So, were you aware of what the other shorts would be about? Or, I don't know if the short's even the right term, but the other segments.
No. That's the thing, is that there was nothing else,
Yeah.
The thing, it was about 2 weeks before filming was when we're talking to some other directors in other countries. Maybe we can do an international anthology, and there wasn't anything like that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was before ABCs of Death. That was before.
That's
there was another that beat us to the punch. I can't think of the name offhand, but all these things started happening because
they've really made a comeback. Anthology.
Yeah. It's great to see now. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of reasons. I think some of them are honestly, some are thrown together because there's like some cool shorts on, but then some there's more thought in how they're connected. And I just said there are like a lot of cool independent film directors, and why not get them all together and put out something cool?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that was the thing when I did the final draft to go back to Pittsburgh and everything like that, because names were being thrown around, and some of them were not in the final iteration. But nonetheless, it burned the fire to be like, okay, I got to step up. And luckily, I was managing and designing a haunted attraction.
Oh, wow.
And that year, and so through that, I had a cast and crew of like 80 to 100 people, and that really helped, because one of the actors, I was like, dude, if you would you shave? Because our actor in Edmonton has this chin beard thing, and we could do a fake, like extension. But if you do that, you could be his stand-in. So we were able to do, and I bought, I became a producer, and I tried to find a cinematographer locally, but I could not find anybody that had the same camera and lenses to match what we'd done in Edmonton. And so I was like, screw it. This is my calling card. I'm gonna do it, because nobody cares as much as I do to match what we did. So I got the same camera lenses that Matt Leaf, the cinematographer in Canada, had, which were not cheap. But we would go to a wide, to a close-up, and not doing an FX inserts, like it cuts. And so like when that tube goes down his throat, that's here in Pittsburgh. When it goes like all these shots, it's just like it looks like the same person, but it's here in Pittsburgh for about 70% of the effects. There was a couple of the key effects that we did do there, but the eye we did there, the tongue we did there, the leg we did there, but the rest we did here. And what is quite incredible, like the neck, the needle in the neck, the tube in particular, because the vomit came out, and that was really an extraordinary moment, because we were trying to figure out how to like put the tube down, and then from the vomit, I was like, man, this is the reason I wish I matched, because I would just do it. I would just make myself gag and just vomit, because it will set the bar that it's all real. And and the cast and crew took a break, and they went to get pizza, and it was just me, the actress with the tube, and the actor. And I shared that. I was like, I wish it was just me, because I wouldn't ask you of that. And then he took it to heart, because he was an actor for the haunt that I did, and he saw I was equal, and as I would manage, I would act. And so there wasn't anything the actors would do that I wouldn't do, so it was it kind of keeps you on the level, because you're all in the same family,
right?
And so we just did one take, and he allowed the tube and the fake vomit to gag him, and so it just burst out because of the gag reflex, and it's just over, and it looks amazing. And so the cast and crew comes back, and they're like, "How much longer we gotta wait?" And I pushed play on the computer because I put the shot in the computer, and I had it edited, mixed, sound, everything. And they were like, "When the fuck did you do that?" And it just set the bar. And it was like, the effects that we did here, it was just, we knew we had it because you set the tone, and it just feels, and it was just so wild to cut from Edmonton. And because it was just Autumn Cook and I, we were the only two that were in Canada, and she was here doing the effects. And the fact that we were able to match perfectly, because Matt gave me notes, the camera settings, everything that he used. And sometimes I had the same camera and the same lenses. Like, it was seamless. And it does not look like you're bouncing from two countries. It was quite surreal. Yeah. So that was like a unique thing per us compared to the other films, because they were able to just shoot where they were.
Yeah. Well, so when do you get to see the other films?
Oh, I have seen them. I've been a part through the whole thing.
I meant throughout, throughout making it. When do you get to see it?
I was a part through the whole thing. Yeah. So I saw like the rough cuts, and it was that was a blessing and a curse, because it made the earning, because I was so proud of what we had done, that much worse, because it's like, oh, it's been a year now. It's like 14 in total, but the lucky 13th year it comes to shine, right?
Yeah. Is there any point in time you just think like, this is just not ever going to get released?
No, I was the one stubborn director who stood behind it.
Good.
I was the one who I believed from the beginning that we had something special, and I feel our friendship, that Amanda and I, if we hadn't created that bond, it probably would have died an early death. But she would push me, I would push her to keep going, and it was just all along the way, like the craziest things you could imagine. Like, if there was a documentary of the behind the scenes of why we don't see this for so long.
Yeah.
She just got a safe, then she put the hard drive in the safe, and then there was a fire, and 80,000 people evacuated.
Oh,
and then we had to wait a year until she could return to know even if the movie existed. I mean, I had my part.
Oh, that would be awful. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want anything burned down, but still, like the idea of like, you don't even know if it's there.
Yeah, it was her family home. She was back at her family home so that she could put everything, every dollar she had made into this film. This was her baby. And so the whole journey, it was just people, you see people online, like, just, they love to just shoot things down, and say this and that. And it's
there's
like,
a group of people.
Idea.
It's true.
Yeah, you have no idea. Like, that's just one of many, to not know if you even, I have my part, but some directors mailed their part, and the editor, Jeremy Caston, he had assembled all of them and put them on a hard drive, and that was a hard drive in that safe. And so that was the existence of their film. So, like, if there weren't that, what do we have? And that's just one of many. But
Jeremy, multiple time guest on the show too. Jeremy Caston's a good guy.
Super guy.
Yeah.
I love his Wizard of Gore remake.
I do too.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The performance by the main guy,
Crispin Glover.
Yeah,
Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in that.
Yeah, his delivery and some of the lines I love. It's the one when he says the things or whatever, and he goes, lies. That was years ago, but I just absolutely love that performance.
Well, one of the things that came of it, this Autumn Cook, the effects artist on Manna, she was on Face Off, and then she, after Profane, she worked on a film Crispin directed and acted in, and she was over in Europe at his like castle or whatever, and it has not come out, and it's like part of another trilogy or something. I don't know, but hopefully eventually we see, because the story
I'd like to find that
extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of weird. I know he did a weird. I regret not seeing because he did it in Rhode Island a few years ago. But he does like a weird like play
The
that he
road
like.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have seen that. That'd been pretty wild. But so you guys, play the movie at various festivals over the years. Like, so what was that cut like?
Well, there was never a feature cut until we did the proper premiere. There was just certain segments.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether, I'm trying to remember, up in Syracuse, which strangely was the first festival I was ever at for my first feature, which is now 25 years ago. Well, 24, but it's going to come out on a really wicked label early next year. So it's kind of another full circle of things, but I should have made notes. I'm still a little bit jet lagged from my trip back from England.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
that'll do it.
He just came back from England.
That'll do it.
Yeah. I'm glad I have a voice. Yesterday I was sending voice clips, sort of testing. And it's like, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
But we did a premiere of Manna. I think it was 2016, 17. I don't know. But I'm trying to remember that. Oh, it's killing me. It's in the credits as a thank you. But yeah, it was quite a few years before it premiered. And then we did a screening here in Pittsburgh as well, separate. It was like individual segments or a couple of segments with a couple of directors. And it was Greg Lamberson's festival that we did the
Buffalo Dreams premiere. Fantastic Film Festival.
Nice.
Buffalo Dreams, yes. That was the last year at that theater. They had it held.
Yeah, that was their last. Yeah, and then that was the last Buffalo Dreams because now he started Amazing Fantasy Fest.
It was a shame because nobody else wanted anything to do with it because of the trickle effect of the issues and everything. And he was the one that stood up to the plate. And so Amanda flew down and I traveled up and Autumn was there. And yeah, it was so fucking wicked to finally see the full thing. We laughed, we cried. We literally had like a euphoric experience because it was so personal to us.
Oh yeah.
And for me it was the one director for hire where I got to show my worth and step up to the plate. I've directed 14 films, but like not been hired for 14. I've been hired for everything else, but that was the one time I could show and here we are since the production 13 years later. But at that point it was 10, 11, I don't know. I think it was 2 years ago in the fall. It was amazing. It was great. And that was where I showed her the companion short where I was like, I don't know if we're going to include this, but she's like, we have to, I wish we could have screened this tonight, And so that, so proud of that. A shame I should have sent you or mentioned it prior to. That perspective.
We'll do part two too. So not to get ahead of ourselves here. Maybe you'll have enough of this by the end of the show. But
absolutely, that'd be great.
But
we should get Amanda on as well with that.
Yeah, I would love to. That'd be great. Greg's a friend of the show. I've known him for years. I've been to Buffalo Dreams. He's been on. He's a fan of Troy. He doesn't like me so much, but
do you blame him?
Well, I love Greg Lamberson, and his festival's great, and he does some of the best Q&As, I think, at the festival.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's an independent filmmaker himself for decades, so he asks stuff that I think some people don't, think to ask.
Yeah. Well, he drove us back to our hotel, and I showed him on my phone the short companion, the what could have been of Manna, and he was in tears laughing. And he was like, I don't want you to release this. I want to be greedy and to be the only one of 3 people who have seen this.
Nice.
And, it was just Amanda and I in the car and me, holding my phone up. And he was like, this is amazing because of the perspective being a filmmaker and the work for hire, because it is ludicrous what it could have been. But on, having that perspective of time, I'm so proud of that as a companion short because this led me to many opportunities where I was in different environments to meet different people. And one of them was with to direct the sequel to Bloodsucking Freaks. And Joel Reed, literally he had 2 different versions of the script, and I was back and forth to New York City to meet with him, and then up to Toronto where we had an investor, and that was his dream. That was literally his favorite film. And so we had the dream producer, and for various reasons, after about a year of going back and forth, and all these people coming out of the woodwork like, oh, I own this much worth of this. And it was like,
no.
Who the fuck are you? It was like some rapper. It was like, what the fuck? This is so weird. This is such an obscure film, but it is it remains Trauma's like asset, because it was the film that put them on the map as a distributor, and it's still one of their best-selling releases. So
I'm a huge fan of
I love that movie.
Freaks,
but what is hilarious is the companion short is a tribute to Bloodsucking Freaks 2, because there are all these like speeches which you imagine on the stage where you've got Sardu on the stage, and what was wild about when we almost did this was Ralphus, his son, the actor's son, looked just like his father.
Really?
Verbatim. And he was signed on, he was on board, he was great. And he if we had been able to make it at that time, it was a beautiful thing, because it genuinely would have been this amazing moment for him to pay tribute to his father, because he was the perfect age. He had the mustache. He was the same height. I mean, the hair, everything. It was across the board. It was a dream happening. But all these people coming out of the woodwork were a very dear friend of mine who's in a bunch of my films, and he became a second father figure. His health was ailing, and he was into his 80s. He was going to be the elder Sardu.
Oh, really?
There was going to be his son, who you saw as Sardu, and then the surprise ending was going to be seeing the real Sardu in his wheelchair, sort of finger puppeting, the final act. And that was going to be Ben Tater, my close friend of many films and everything from the Maggot film universe and everything. But his health was ailing, and he was in the hospital and everything. And I was like, you know what? This may never happen. I'm going back to Pittsburgh. I'm going to be with my friend. I'm going to finish our films that we have control of and do some releases of our stuff, so that Ben sees this, sees some finality of what we have produced. Right. So I had to walk from it, but it was a beautiful experience like that. 9 months to a year that I was working back and forth. It was a lot of great
that's too bad that I have another friend who tried to do something with Bloodsuck, and I knew that it's got like no one knew exactly who had owned the rights.
I have a feeling I know your friend. Is he doing a documentary?
No, he runs a festival, but
okay.
But I do know someone who did the Joel Reed documentary too. But by the way, that's funny. The Joel Reed documentary. So I'm in that, which is cool.
There's two documentaries. There's one released and there's one not.
Okay, yeah. All right. So the one that's released, I'm in, and it played at Greg Lamberson's Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival.
That's a cool full circle.
And so I was there with my friend Jason, and we were watching it. And I had not seen it. And this is the first time he's seen the finished thing. And I know what I said, but I don't know what other people saying. And so the whole documentary is about, like, in my opinion, way too negative on Joel Reed. They're like taking all his jokes very serious. And if you know him, like, basically every said was all the stuff he's saying is like jokes. He's not really like he didn't really was like not some insane guy. And so everybody's talking about how like awful this movie is. And I was like, what the? And then I popped up and I'm like, oh, I think they're kind of lighthearted. The movie's kind of lighthearted. And my friend Jason just starts dying, and he's just laughing. He's like, you look like a crazy guy. Everyone else is like, avoid these movies and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's so fun.
Yeah. I was.
But Joel's the man. We went and visited him in New York.
Did you get to go to his apartment?
Yes, and he had stacks. He had stacks of and he had stacks of. I hate to say this, but he had stacks of DVDs that fans sent him, and he'd just be like, "Take some of these. I'm not going to watch these."
He's in two of my films through that time of the that we shared. So there's a bit of trickle history in that, and And it was just great. Like, I got to see the Joel behind the personality.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he
Very
would
much a
turn it
character.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would turn on the character because it was like what you expected. And
Mm-hmm.
I've done that myself because of my association with Mortem, purposely, because it's like, oh, they expect this, so you just bring forth this crazy mania. But then you see the other side, and he was just from the heart. There was a truthful love of the art of film, and if you connected and bonded over that love, over that mutual love of cinema, there was this voice that was just it was heartbreaking, because we were like, Joel, can we get a little bit of that on camera? Because we shot multiple interviews as promotion for the potential sequel and everything, because we were doing the promotion, and as we were developing it, and he did this bit where he sort of passed the baton, like he did like the the sword on the shoulder sort of moment. We were in the park up in New York, across from his apartment, by one of these big water fountains and everything. We were doing this conversation, and he stepped forth and did it was literally figuratively and physically, like, I'm passing the baton, and it was honest and true, because he broke the veil of the personality, and it was on camera briefly, but then he went back to the drawing. But yeah, I'm glad I got to witness that side of him, because you see the films, and obviously Blood Sucking Freaks is the biggest showcase of that, but there's a hint in his other works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a huge fan of him as a person, and Blood Sucking Freak. So I'm glad that you brought him up. I'm a huge fan, and it's weird because it's like a 3-hour interview with him. Annabelle and I did. We went and met him. We had dinner with him, and the audio is not good. But now with technology, I've actually been trying to clean it up, and I wouldn't put out our dinner with Joel, like the whole 3-hour thing.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know if you do.
Yeah, I would definitely like to clean up the audio. I'm anti-AI, but I know it's technically AI taking out the background noise, but to me that's not the same as we're not going to create Joel Reed and
that's true. It's still him. It's still his voice on this.
Yeah,
which I'd be interested to hear that too, because I've only talked to Joel through the show, so I only know the personality Joel.
Yeah.
So like we'd be asking him questions, and then he'd jump into this crazy
he tells some whack out story,
just some crazy story. It was awesome. But I had never seen the real him side, so I'd be interested in that too.
Yes, a super guy, and he had talked about a lot of different filmmakers would come and talk to him, even some big people made Hostel and stuff, but and he always took time for everyone to help out, the upcoming.
Well, Eli was a champion of Joel, and they got to hang out and everything. So I remember that being an extra or something in one of the releases.
Yeah, and we always get along with Lloyd Kaufman, I'll say too, but the two do not see eye and eye. I'll say that.
What is? Oh no, I agree, but I met Lloyd at a urinal at a Tremor Fest. I had gone the whole day, and I had not seen Lloyd. And then I'm at the urinal, and I hear, "So how about them Steelers?" And I look, and it's Lloyd, and I was like, "This is the moment." I was in my 20s then, so it was quite transformative. It was quite hysterical. I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll run into him at a urinal again.
That'll be the time.
He gave me a wonderful quote on the companion short I did in my first feature on his book. Everything I learned about filmmaking, I learned from the Toxic Avenger. I'm not going to get that title right, but that was his first book. He wrote, my film was a tribute to sanity, is the story of my life. Oh God, what did he write? It was quite great. He wrote it knowing I would quote it, and I'm not quoting it right now. it was really really funny. I can't believe I can't remember it. I can see it on the page how he wrote it. Jet lag. But it was something about trauma. Trauma is nothing but a tribute to sanity was everything about my life. It was really, really great. It was a great quote. But nonetheless, like that's how selfless he is, you know, to make light of his brand, to elevate yours. And that's what he did in that quote, which was really wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So a question actually, because you said you put on the character, like the maggot character.
Yeah.
So is that, do you ever regret that? Like, has that ever been a detriment, do you think, to your career?
Well, only once did it ever come to rise as far as, anybody seeking me out, which was the calling card that became Profane.
So no, then.
So it's kind of ironic. Like you think it would be haunting me because of the very vulnerable things I did for the performance. And strangely, everything I've been hired for has been for other films I've worked on or my own works that filmmakers have seen me for at festivals or conventions. Yeah, so it's strange because I've been anticipating that.
Yeah.
But I guess Revenge is the Mental Name. That was another film I was sought out for specifically for that. But that was Toe Tag's web designer, so he knew me exclusively through that. So it wasn't like an outside source. But the cool thing was, I don't know if you've seen that. It was another Unearthed release. I'm quite proud of my performance in that because it was so outside of what I would script for myself, because I got to play an alcoholic junkie. And I grew out my beard. My mustache was up to here, literally. Nice. So the battle for the year that I grew it out was literally the week before I shaved it. I found Aquanet. I could just do it and then hair dry it. And my mustache, the whole day it would be out of the way. I was like, oh my God, this whole year I could have had a great experience. I had no idea. It was just because I was trying to do a Dali type mustache, which I did for one of my own films. And I did this like crazy Dali because it literally was, this thing. And if had I known, I could have had a better year. Because I was trying to put on a lot of weight for the role because he was an alcoholic junkie. So I wanted to have that like big belly, but like thinner body and everything. So I was packing on as much weight as I could, but trying to funnel food through this mustache. And you wake up and you're drying your mustache. Yeah. So
like the flavor
it could have been easier to pack on the pounds.
Well, if you ever want to get real heavy again down the line, and grow a mustache, you'll know. Well, since we brought up Mortem, what is your relationship now with Fred Vogel?
Well, there was years where it was tense, but I mean, it is what it is. We've created our own legacies and our own things, and we created something that's remembered, and it's hilarious because when I kind of came back to the conventions, I found myself booth to booth.
Oh, really?
I was really? Hey, hello, here we are.
Yeah.
And after 10 years, I was like, I feel that people should just be able to see my, the original cut. So there was the original cut, and he was like, well, what's up with this? I was like, well, it's been 10 years. I've been giving it away for 10 years. If anybody wrote, I would just mail it to them. But after 10 years, I thought, I'll charge a couple of people. Nobody cares anymore. And we had a good laugh. And, we've gone on and done quite a bit of, it's pretty fucking wild when you compare the different works, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that, though. I've always got along with Fred Vogel, so, And I also think as you get older, there's no use, holding some kind of grudge or anything if you don't need to.
No, I'm incredibly proud. I mean, it was just a music video for Killjoy, who was like a brother and literally like a mentor, really. because he put artwork I did in a release for Ravenous. I did a song, like a full track on that album, and a music video, and so it was like giving big weight and courage and confidence to go forward as an artist. And if not for that, there wouldn't have been what we all became, because that was early on. And we're all on the cover of that album, and that it's like a very classic still from Mortem with the girl hung upside down, which is and I'm down there being bathed, and Christy is over here, and Fred, and it was all transformative for all of us for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. So you have a All-American Devil coming out, which is the third of the trilogy. So you want to give people an idea of what that is?
Well, it's hilarious because it's connected to an anthology. And because of Profane Exhibit, one of the producers for Bloodsucking Freaks 2 was like, well, if you did which of the movies? Our Devil's Night, because there's so many movies connected to an anthology. Not an opening mind. It wasn't. It was to be the third film from Toe Tag, but nonetheless. So we started this anthology. I had Opening the Mind. We started as the next movie from Toe Tag, and then it became a 17-year journey because of the technology of the format. And that's a conversation we can have after. But a friend I met at the New York International Film Festival, Alan Kelly, he won the Best Director Feature. Best Feature Horror.
Ooh.
Best Horror Feature. I won Best Horror Short with Tribute to Sanity and Best Cinematography. And we kept in touch. And then Tyler Tharp, who was the first I did a work for hire for at the first festival we were ever at for my first feature at the Syracuse Festival, B-Movie Festival back in 2000. For his film Return of Red, we did effects, acted, and did the score for. He did a segment. Alan did a segment originally, and it just blossomed. And it was like step by step. All right, we're gonna set this aside. It's a feature. Okay, we're gonna do another. We're gonna set to the side. That's a feature. We're gonna set to the side. It's a feature. And then it was like, all right, I'm gonna do what you did, and I'm gonna equal that budget, time, and whatever I can do in that time is equal. So now it was Tyler and I, and we had 3 days. He had 3 days. We did it in 2.5 days. We did Our Devil's Night, and that was our segment. Flash forward, and we were in pre-production for Bloodsucking Freaks 2, and that one of the producers was like, well, if you go off and shoot another day or two, your 45-minute segment is now a feature segment, and that's another thing on your resume. So going forth to get investors, it's another, thing on the. And I was like, oh, you're right. So I did a fundraiser release on the Mega Film website. But then my very dear friend, Ben, he did pass away. And I just buried myself into filming. And so at the end of the day, I expanded Our Devil's Night into a feature. And then a second film blossomed from that, His Devil's Night. Because I just buried myself into filming, and using that loss and everything for a positive. And so now we have 2 features. Flash forward 2020, Marcus Cook invites me, along with people across the world, to be a part of an anthology, my life's curse, clearly. Ben Tater, my fellow actor friend, the first time he got to act in a feature film was in an anthology. It was never released. I've released the rough cut of his on, and then I helped release Bingo O'Malley from Creepshow. He played all the characters adjacent to Stephen King and his
Oh,
segment.
wow.
Yeah.
He was the star of one of the other segments that was filmed for that anthology. Ben and him were friends for many years, but it was never released. I've released the rough cut. It's great. It's called Natural Causes. He's a funeral homeowner who's everybody retires and moves to Florida. So he has no business. So he creates business. It's great. But so 2020 happens. I do this short for Marcus's anthology. And the whole point was every filmmaker in every facet of the world, because of the times, you could release your own cut. And it was just a means to support others because some people couldn't work. What we did, I thought, maybe this could be the third Devil's Night. Since we don't know when this is ending, maybe we just go back to what we know what we can do. And so we took the base of that to become the third Devil's Night. And then it became a 4-year journey where it was a little deeper than we had initially planned. But it became personal. It became sort of a selfless journey amongst friends where Harry Collins and his buddy Bob, like they were foundational because of their enthusiasm, because they were fans that became friends and they had done their own films and everything. Their excitement for what we're doing invigorated that fire for independent cinema. And then it became, let's explore this, let's play and see where it takes us. And so flash forward, and here we are. We're doing this pre-release for the third Devil's Night. And I'm really proud of the outcome. And you can see it two ways, which is really unusual, as a 3-part limited series or as a feature cut with these intermission sequences that are directed by
I have my notes here. Yeah,
David Stewart Johnson in Japan, with illustrations by Martin Stewart in Australia. It was like they're both really great friends. And through this, they've become great friends because we just sort of just started playing and trying things. And because of the 2020 thing trickling over, we all were just like, we're fucking artists. Let's just dream and see what happens. And so the feature cut with the intermission, it's so bonkers and so fucking weird.
I loved it. And not just hear anything. I loved the feature. At first, I'll be honest, at first I was like, well, this is 2.5 hours. What's going on here? And then so I'm watching it. And then when the first intermission comes up, I'm like, this is so weird for the rest of I kind of love that in movies when there's like a real big contrast, like in you know, you've got like something very dark, something more lighthearted, weirder. And I just thought it totally worked. And the movie looked great for one thing too. I think it's the best looking movie. Or and so awesome. But no, I thought it was great. I was into it right from the start. I hope people check that one. I like the long cut with the intermission.
Well, you can see why there's the 3-part limited series because of that, you know. And so when you watch it individually, you could sort of digest the narrative rather than truncate it, because I felt because it was my pandemic film, you know, it was like, why truncate it? Why abbreviate it? I liked it individually because it was very direct acts, because they were different. You know, the first part is Devil's Night, and then the second part is Christmas that coming year, and then the next is Devil's Night that following year.
Yeah.
So they're very 3, you know, specific narratives. And in that, you know, you can digest them individually if you just want to take the narrative. But when you put it all together, it was too long. But when you put Stewart's madness in there with the intermissions, and it wasn't until the last minute when I got them from him, because it was like this mad scientist sort of idea. And he was like, he started doing this music video for my band Porcelain Maggot, so I knew what he could do, but I didn't see what he was doing for this. So it was like down to the final wire of like, do we know it works? But I had committed to the idea. And there are these other filmmakers I like connect to on a technical level. And they came out with this movie called Blackberry. which is about the BlackBerry phone.
I actually saw it at the theater. Yeah.
Oh. Well, they
or maybe
they
I
did
saw BlackBerry. But yeah.
The week that it dropped online,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, there's a limited series and there's a feature.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what? It was literally the week I had the breakthrough, and then I saw that drop, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was like looking, and I was like, "Oh, it's Matt Johnson as Chris." It's they just fucking did this, but it's not in the same voice because
it's a different type of movie, but it's
but
it was. I remember when I saw because I saw I go see everything, not just horror movies. And then I saw it was out and I just thought, is this a follow-up like series of this movie I saw? But no, it was the movie cut into a series.
Wow. Yeah, where they expanded each act, where they could breathe. That's what they did with the acts, was they put more in that they shot. Whereas with the feature cut, it was sort of a leaner, meaner narrative, which is like the more traditional way to follow it up.
Yeah.
But it was just wild because I had not seen that. And then the week that dropped, because their films, I have a sort of a spirit animal kind of connection to just their approach to filming, where they went into NASA for their second narrative where, oh God, the name was on the tip of my tongue. It's about the conspiracy of the moon landing. Have you seen it? Have you seen their second?
Oh, so was that recently? It was like from the something to the moon.
Oh, no, it wasn't. There's a new movie that attached that.
I didn't see that one.
But no, they did. It's I can see the damn title. And I wish I could. Oh my God, that's gonna piss me off.
I'm gonna cheat and look it up.
Something. You'll get it in a second.
I can't help you guys on this one. This one's beyond.
They literally went to NASA and tricked them and filmed in NASA and made a period piece. The name is so close.
Yeah, it's
You're gonna get it.
No, my IMDb page is not. Operation Avalanche, is that it?
Yes, Avalanche was on the tip of my tongue. I was like, Avalanche, what? Yes, it is about the conspiracy, and it is one of 3 films that got the
I recommend BlackBerry for people out there. I told
you're
one of the people I've ever heard never talk about it, but I was a big fan of it. Like, this movie really good.
All of their films are amazing. They did a series that's great, called something Nirvana. No, they're like so they break the mold. Their first film was called well, you're right on their page.
No, I'm
clearly not going to get it right now. It's something that it's not the Crazies, but it's something like that. It's Romero's Brethren of the other about some kids doing a school shooting, but they A Tribute to Sanity is better than my life. It's a story better than trauma. It's the story of my life. That was a quote from Lloyd Kaufman.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is a great quote.
Eric just put the quote up on our thing.
That's a good one.
Thank you, Wounded Man Productions. All right, here we go. I actually threw that. Thank you for posting that, but I was trying to waste some time here. The Dirties. The Dirties.
The Dirties, yes. It's a great film. Yeah, their films are great because they went into actual high schools and filmed improvisation amongst real students, and then they went back and got release forms and everything.
Wow.
And they traveled around and they did this, and then and with Operation Avalanche they did similar thing, but they had the experience and they went into NASA. Like, who has the fucking guts? They go into NASA and they're shooting a period film from another fucking era where the moon landing wasn't even real, and they got away with it. I mean, it just blows my mind. I mean,
yeah, that's insane.
I'm gonna have to look into this stuff now.
This movie up. But Bombshell. Hi, folks. Glad I caught this interview. It's good to see you here. Earlier, Lilith from the band Sour Seed was asking where you were located. I believe that's Pittsburgh.
Zombie Town, USA. Yes.
Yeah. Jamie Hill from Skinamarick says hello. Hello, Jamie Hill. Nathan King, my main man.
He's the mini from my hometown.
Oh, nice.
Literally, my brother from my hometown.
Stephen Biro. Is it Biro or Biro? He's been on the show. I should know that. Kill it, Michael.
I like to call him Mr. Biro.
Biro.
Because he's got a beer in his hand. It's just, but it's Biro.
All right. Dean M loves your mustache. It's a hell of a mustache.
It is a good.
It did go to here. I was so proud, but the barber before I went off to England mopped it, so it's growing back.
Yeah,
I was quite proud of the. Savini was a big influence growing up. So to grow, this was like the part that wouldn't grow. Like the connector, and then it grew, and then they butchered it, and I was heartbroken. I went into a corner and cried for weeks, and actually flew off to England and had a great time. But I did quietly cry in the corner.
All right, fair enough.
15 minutes a night.
Dedicated to the stash.
So, when I was watching the second one, His Devil's Night, we'll jump around a little bit here. But you actually have a scene that I'm always a huge fan of, and that's Man on Fire, especially when it's like real, and you don't see it too often in movies anymore. So what's that? What was that like to pull off? What was that like when you're shooting that?
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because nobody has ever mentioned that, and it is one of the craziest things we have ever filmed in-house.
Yes, in the house. I love Man on Fire in general, but you don't see it in the house very often, especially on a small budget movie.
Well, my buddy Johnny Sullivan, he is a professional stuntman, and we met on the second Work for Hire on a film called The Wickeds, and Ron Jeremy was one of the stars, and he saved my life. I almost was impaled by a pickaxe, and Ron pulled it back just in time, and I still landed on the back of my neck, was in shearing pain, and I was crying in pain, and then Ron leaned over me. I was like, oh my God, I just saved your life. And I couldn't stop laughing, because I was like, well, if I'm bedridden the rest of my life, this is quite, a funny story if it is what is my story. Flash forward, and Johnny, we have worked on many films. He's done many body burns on films we've worked on, and he called me at like 3 a.m. Michael, he's in West Virginia. Michael, I got this idea. I want to do a full body, unprotected body burn in my living room. And I was like, Johnny, that's fucking crazy. He's like, no, hear me out. I can do the kiddie pool and the double wide door, and we got my crew back there, and I was like, and then he went through the whole thing, and I was like, holy shit. Actually, from the different shoots we've been on, actually is really quite, that will actually work. So he's done stunts on Pirates of the Caribbean, Fast and the Furious. Like, he is a professional stunt guy. He broke his back jumping on Pirates of the Caribbean 3 or 4 or whatever. Like, he hit a fish, and he woke up in the hospital, and they had the fish. They were like, do you want this? He's like, fuck that fish. And then, a few months later, he's like, oh, I wish I had that fish mounted on my wall. But no, Johnny's great. And we've done so much stuff. And that was that was our martini shot. We shot material for Let's Make a Horror Movie, and what was to become His Devil's Night. When in its inception, we were just expanding our Devil's Night into a feature. But stuff that happened during it was like, we are creating something, bigger and better in its companion, because it grows into what ultimately, as this year is an anthology. Well, not an anthology, but a trilogy of features. And so I am standing there dressed as Jesus with this cheap, dime store hair and sandals. And I was like, wait, let me put some shoes on, take this beard off. I know the precautions. We want to be safe, and so we do this. We do this full body burn, unprotected. But he has a fake bear suit on, which is all plastic, which goes up and it ignites at different degrees of flames. So it's different degrees of danger, and we're ready for that. And then it's the girl's first time breathing fire. We're ready for that. Literally, we've been on enough sets where we feel comfortable and we just do it. We got 2 cameras running. I've got David Graham cleanly on camera. I'm on camera half as Jesus. And we capture it. And it was incredible. And, no hiccups. And I jump in the car, run straight to where I'm making, I'm an inspiration of Robert Rodriguez, who was a human guinea pig to make his first film.
Yeah.
I'm running off to Pittsburgh, 2.5 hours north, to clock in to study for a human guinea pig study. And literally, Dave drops me off, and I run up, give my arm, and they get my blood literally within the 30 seconds that they need me. And that's how we got that shot, which is fucking bonkers.
Yeah, that's crazy. When I was a teenager, or maybe my early, I think it was a late teenager in the 90s. Troy is back here. On public access, there was a show called Let's Be Real, and it was a guy who worked in a video store, and he would review movies at night. I loved the show. It was just on local access on Cape Cod, so probably no one else seen it. And he would rate movies, and they'd have to get like certain things, almost like the Joe Bob would rate, with like boobs and stuff. But it would only get only get 5 if it had a man on fire. And
oh yeah,
and he had a little, and it was before Photoshop stuff, but he had like a little. It was like his head superimposed on a guy on fire running across the bottom. If a movie had guy on fire, and I
had forgotten all about that.
I love it. If he's out there anywhere, you could come on the show. It'll entertain me. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else. He would do well on YouTube today if he's out there.
He would indeed. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, his Devil's Night. Another thing you had just mentioned there too, because you said you're wearing the Jesus stuff, and when you're filming any of those movies, because a lot of it's like it seems like in your neighborhood or at least outside places. Has anyone walked by and just been like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Oh, there's a myriad of experiences like that. We were just stopped, and police came up. It's so funny because of all I've just endured. I can't even remember what we were doing. Oh no, I was shooting the extra for All American Devil, a companion short, and I set up the camera and I did all of these things, and I'm by this little miniature waterfall, and I'm putting blood all over myself, and I selected 1 of 5 locations where I would be the least to bother anybody. I thought, this is the spot. I'm not going to bother anybody. And I'm acting and I'm doing my thing, and I hear, "Are you okay?" Now I've ripped my shirt off. I'm covered in blood. There's a baseball bat, blood covered in blood, and there's a camera, and given the state of the times we're in, I'm just like, oh man. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I give him the thumbs up because I know he can't hear me because of the waterfall and the dynamics, and then I just reach up and turn the camera off, and I walk up and I'm like, hands up, and I'm like, "I'm okay. It's all right. It's a stupid movie. I swear. It's just a thing." And then we start geeking out because he loves horror movies. Here he is building a wall for a family up at the top of this galley, way up where I didn't think anybody could hear me. I thought, 3-4 minutes of performing. But here I am. I performed in haunted houses for 13 years. So my voice carries, apparently. And
you're screaming quite a bit in
yeah. And here I am a little bit aware, self-aware of like, oh, yeah, I'm having a very apparent sort of come to terms with reality. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad because I thought, I'd just do this dumb little thing for this thing. And I was just trying to do something real. And I'm trying to carry my voice above the waterfalls. So I'm trying to get it to the microphone, not to the people above. And not to worry about you. And so he's like geeking out. He's writing down the website. He's writing down, about the Profane. And I'm telling him about this. And he was all geeked out. And so he goes about, and then I'm trying to break my stuff down and just like head back and pack up for heading off to England because that was just like the rush. And he comes running back to the hillside. He's like, I'm so sorry. They were worried because I was gone for so long. They called 911. And however you want to go about that, that's up to you. And I was like, dude, it's going to take me something. Don't even worry. I appreciate it. I'll talk to them. So I'm like breaking my stuff down. And I'm like, oh, I should probably be presentable. So I'm like trying to wash the blood and put a hoodie on it and whatever I can. And then I realized I put my hoodie on. It's also it's a blue velvet. I have a patch from Blue Velvet with
nice.
Dennis Hopper that says,
Yeah.
"Don't you fucking look at me. Don't you fucking look at me." That's on my back, and I'm like
snorting some laughing gas.
So
exactly.
I'm running around the corner, and the cops come running around the corner, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just shooting a stupid movie. I'm sorry." And we all have a laugh, and the paramedic, they're all like, "Oh no, we need the exercise. It's great." And then we have our back and forth, and we're having a laugh, and I'm sharing this and sharing that, and I'm packing my stuff. I look back, and the cops are back, and they're like, "We should probably take your information." I'm like, "It's understandable. Here's blah 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 blah," and they're like, "No, we appreciate the exercise." It was great. That was all for the supplemental material for All American Devil.
Yeah.
Just to have this cool short of between the scenes. So if you remember, when I walk up to the party and I'm bloody with a baseball bat, and then I have the vest from the guy. This is the scene between. And it's not the scene. It's the scene between the scene.
All right.
So it's him like bloodier.
Yeah.
And but it's cool. It's just kind of a cool little like thing. That was just an idea that was like, well, we got this amount of material, space left on the disc. Let's do something. Yeah. And that's the time that the police show up. So, and the paramedics. And,
it's what you get for going the extra mile.
Yeah.
Remember
it's
this.
Like, it's just a cool little thing. I've got this morning off, and I just do there's no crew. It's just me. I'm going to lug 70 pounds of equipment so I can mount a camera up above me because of sandbags. I've got a C-stand and all this equipment. And I mean, literally you have to take breaks every, a couple hundred yards because it's so much gear. You're exhausted. And if you keep your mind sharp to set it up. So you have to consciously like take a break, catch your breath, and, had a little. I had like a little earbud in, which I lost. I had to buy new earbuds, where I was playing like really inspiring music to like get in the mood, and it's quite funny.
So you mentioned running into people and talk about horror movies. What does your family think of the kind of movies you make?
Well, I started to make a family-friendly short every year because I recognized a lot of my family couldn't see the things I had made, but I felt I was capable of doing other things. And 15 years later, there's like 2 feature anthology-esque type features. And that's what I shared with my family. So otherwise it was like, I stopped kind of sharing, trailers for things I was involved in. I was like, it's kind of weird. My uncle, he was a big inspiration growing up. We watched Godzilla growing up and stuff like that. So I would send him trailers for things and stuff. But other family, it was like, I recognized the diversion of this is quite outside their comfort zone, and you're sort of just burdening them.
Because the one thing someone says like horror movies that they like The Conjuring or something. It's,
exactly. Yeah, there's a certain kind of horror which I love that too, but
that's what I like about horror. I mean, it depends what kind of mood I'm in. I can watch something silly or
I'm all about. I mean, Godzilla. I grew up on kung fu movies and Universal films, but the stuff I personally conjured, it's not so much family friendly,
Yeah. So those Christmas anthologies, is that just for them, or is that something you'd want people to see? Other people outside of your family?
No, I'm comfortable with everybody seeing it. And then particularly the second one I'm really proud of, because I spent the better part of a year between everything else going on, cutting it into a cohesive narrative and everything. It was 8 years, and it was planned to be seven, and then like a following 7. But going to the 7th, I was like, I'll help produce other friends' shorts, and then after that, it'll be like different directors as an anthology sort of thing. But it took an extra year to like complete that narrative and everything. But yeah, no, I'm proud of those, as especially the second, because it was more aware. Because the first time it was inclusive to not caring, and then just it grew into something, and then you were like pursuing this high. Because of the first year, I was able to like I hit 30, so I was like, oh my god, I'm getting old. How do I make Christmas cool? And so I thought maybe I'll share this with my mother, and all I had in mind was my mother initially. So I was like, I want to make her laugh, cry, and scream. And so that's what I did. And then she wanted to share it with the family at the Christmas party. And my family, I was like, wait, what happened to my family? And they were all at each other's throats, and they were all sort of bickering, and they were all doing these things. And my mother was like, oh, everybody sit down. We're going to watch Mikey's Christmas movie. And I'm like, oh boy. And then they were laughing, crying, and screaming, and they were all coming together, and they were all reminded of the Christmas spirit and why we were all family. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's a Christmas miracle. And so for 15 years, I chased that moment, and it was always, oh God, here we go again. It's another thing. So I stopped sort of sharing it directly with my family. I would gift my mother the DVD, but then sometimes it wouldn't be watched, and it would be watched, and it would just be sort of this chaste high of trying to share my art with the family and those who mattered, and friends, fans, whomever cared, really. But yeah, when after the first 7 years, I cut an anthology of it. It was literally just like each short with like the year before, like a title before. And the next 8, I cut it into like a cohesive and like feature, and it was not easy. It was really hard because of the changing things each year, as it was sort of like what's available and who can. But it came together to be something I feel quite special. And I know that's something I shared with you. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out.
I wanted to bring it up. Yeah.
No,
and I like obviously I do the horror movie show, but I think most people like other things. Most people don't just like one genre of whatever they're into.
You would hope.
Yeah. And so I think it's cool to see your creativity, in another genre.
Well, that's the thing, is there was like love letters to films that we love.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen King stories.
What were like either movies, TV shows? What was it that inspired you to like, I want to become a filmmaker someday?
My first memory is in the theater seeing Star Wars, and telling my mother and father scene for scene what was about to happen. And my mother and father were freaked out, and they were like, "What the fuck? How do you know?" And I was like, "Well," and I had a twin, and I said, "Well, Mickey and I watched it through your belly button," and they had gone to see while she was pregnant. And so that was sort of transformative to the magic of cinema and the fact of this miraculous thing of me retelling things before my birth of memory to my mother and father was so transformative that cinema was magic. It was magic. So anytime I went to the cinema, I re-experienced that sort of thing. And even this morning, I went to see Terrifier 3 because it's a cultural phenomenon,
which is really wild. I mean, I remember going to see I was a big fan of the first one, and then to see the second one get a theatrical release was cool. Then
so great.
See it play weeks was really weird, and now this third one to be like a $50 million movie is a very weird experience
for a $2 million movie.
Yeah.
I mean, for like what was the first 300,000? The second, and then the second to overcome a 3-day.
Yeah, and just kept playing like for it's gonna add a couple more days, and then a week, and then another week,
experience, and it grew into a phenomenon, and it's such an inspiration because nothing has ever done that where it was unrated, and no, it's a gift. I mean, for any aspiring artist, it doesn't matter what you aspire to, you should recognize how tremendous this, and it's heartbreaking how many people are, because of the success and because of this and that, downplaying, and I won't even spend time on that, but it's just disgusting.
I say that I've known some, even if you don't like it, I understand if it's not a movie for you, I totally get that, but the especially if you're an independent filmmaker on any level, the idea that this independent movie has done something that, like you said, nothing else on that level has ever done. And I know that other movies have gotten a chance at the theater because they're maybe not looking for the next Terrifier 2, but it's like, oh well, these smaller independent horror movies especially, people are going to come out to see them. Well, we should start. I know my AMC in Boston shows a lot more independent horror movies than they ever did, and it's besides the giant movies. Besides the giant movies, that's what people go see.
I always look forward to them, even if it's something that I don't end up loving.
Yeah,
I'll always go see them.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I also like the movies too. So
no, they're a blast. They're just fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when the first one came out, we had Damien and David and Jenna Cannell on before they started to get the buzz, and then they took off, and now they're way too big to talk to us.
That's what happens sometimes.
No, actually, Dave. Jenna was just on that long ago, but Damien's definitely too big.
We'll say that about Michael eventually. Be like, remember when he used to give us the "I'm a guy, you're a guy." Now we get nothing.
So, how important is Unearthed Films to to getting this out? Not just the Blu-ray, but the finished movie.
It was. Amanda was quite protective for many years because of the burden of hurdles of many years. And I had a strong connection with Stephen for many years where I felt this was the home. And it took a long time, understandably, to connect the dots. And then eventually we all connected the conversation, and it led to that. And that was like, for being the first hired on and then to have seen the home base to make it the reality for us to get it out there was really the mountain we all climbed because we all had our own hang-ups where we were all protective of this thing that we cared about. And so it was a careful conversation getting it to this crossroads where we found at home, which is great. It's a miracle. It's great. I'm so proud to see it through.
Yeah, I years ago I was much heavier, and I actually had a Profane Exhibit T-shirt, but it was like a 4X, so it's much too big for me now. But I've been following it for years.
A crop top.
That's true. That's true.
Oh yeah.
Or like cut out and sew it on the back of a jacket.
I have a couple sizes because of similar experience.
But yeah, to follow it, and there was times like I don't know. I honestly started to wonder, like I don't know, this maybe is just never actually, either was never really made, or it's never, I don't know. And then when I saw Greg was showing it, and then Unearthed, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I watched it, and I really liked him. I was afraid too, like it's not gonna live up, to my expectations.
Oh
But,
yeah, you've been waiting so long. It's tough.
It's a different type of expectation for the times, I feel. But the story, I feel, if you're able to like be aware of the story, is just as apparent of any time. It's timeless. But a lot of people they want to see Terrifier sort of level thing. But that's not what this is. It's deeper. There's moments where
it's a much different movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Terrifier is like a slasher, extreme
sort
gory
of in your face, over the top.
Yeah.
But this deep, it digs deeper issues, and it's I'm quite proud of it. It's fun. When I struggled until we sat in the theater. Until we sat in the theater, we were giggly children, so euphoric and so taken aback by this long journey, and so proud of what we had stood behind. And I hope people can see that, because it is quite special, of an anthology of sorts, because there are voices from across the world. And it is unlike other anthologies in that regard. I love anthology. I mean, I'm a Creepshow junkie.
Oh yeah, can't get enough.
Creepshow is hidden in the back here. It's the first VHS tape my mom bought me. So the original clamshell back here. It's one of my favorite movies.
I have a Creepshow too that I got for like Halloween, as a Halloween gift.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So we do have our second guest is coming up here. He's online, so I'll bring him in here in a few minutes. But I do want to ask, what are you gonna do on Devil's Night on Halloween?
Oh my God. I'll be trying to get All American Devilish shipped out so I can celebrate that.
So yeah, I'm just gonna bring Philip. We're gonna get to you one sec, but I bring you in here so you don't think we're ignoring you. But we're just wrapping up with Michael here. So Halloween.
Well, Philip, I want to say I saw Body Melt back in the VHS era, in the VHS store you see in Mortem that we invade and everything. I rented Body Melt there. That was the first place I saw it. And I fucking love that movie. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
So
man.
it's great. It's great sharing this space, really. And I love this. I got this new release. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah, the Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's my first feature. Will be adjacent to one of those labels.
All right.
Early next year.
Yeah.
With a 2024 edit and the original cut.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So, it was great having you on. We'll do it again. We'll do part 2 soon.
Yeah, definitely. Come on anytime.
Yeah, wonderful seeing you guys.
Yeah, so check out maggotfilms.com.
Yeah.
So you can check out
on Troy and company.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Cheers,
Take care.
Michael. All right. And now we're joined by Philip Brophy, director of Body Melt, composer, musician, all around cool guy, got cool hair. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Nasty Neal and Terrible Troy.
Yeah, we need what's a good we'll think of a name before the end of the show for Phil.
You can go with Fucked Up Phil. That's
all right. I
like
was gonna say
Ferocious,
but yeah, Fucked Up works too.
I like this one. So
Mike of the two.
So Michael put over Body Melt. So I was glad. I don't always add the guests in together, so I was glad he brought that up. That was cool.
Yeah, sometimes they don't play well together.
Yeah,
you never know.
They're like, "What the hell am I talking to this guy?" But so how did Body Melt come about? Way back, when you're before you even film it, like.
Geez, man, that's a long time ago. It was I don't necessarily come from a kind of a horror background, but I've always had a very broad interest in movies, so I don't distinguish between the highest glistening jewel and the stinkiest turd. To me, it's all different ways.
I like that because I often say, like, two of my favorite movies, Taxi Driver and Basket Case. I realize one's technically probably better, but I enjoy them both, so that's all that matters to me.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not. I guess I'm just saying that because I don't necessarily fit the kind of the horror nerd, gore addict teen kind of thing that always wanted to make a gory kind of horror movie.
Yeah.
I more just wanted to make something that just showed just lots of things fucking up basically. And to me, Body Melt, I don't even really see it as it's definitely not gory because technically there's really hardly any blood or anything like that. And there's actually no violence. It's just stuff that happens to people's bodies. It's not
That's
people.
actually interesting. Yeah.
A lot of ooey gooey things, but
Yeah.
not necessarily
So
gore.
it's really just like watching the most mainstream of television with lots of ads or lifestyle shows or kind of sort of well-meaning reports about how wonderful life is, and just imagining it just all completely melting and falling apart. I don't think I'm alone in kind of having that kind of gleeful imagination to just see things get like really, really bad. And maybe that's kind of like irresponsible, and maybe that gets more and more irresponsible as the world kind of develops. But I still think that's what art and the imagination can do. It can be wholly irresponsible and not pay lip service to anything. So really that's how the film kind of came about, just with that kind of perspective. And I didn't think it was going to be wildly kind of successful, and I certainly didn't think it'd be around still people watching it this far into the future from back then. So I'm happy that people kind of share that destructive glee in watching them.
Yeah. So, well, what is it about it then? Do you think like that it finds a new audience, over time?
Look, I don't know audiences at all. I basically don't know people, so
Fair enough.
it's like whatever the fuck people
Maybe
think.
that's the secret right there.
Well, it's kind of, I guess, strategically the secret would be to never guess an audience anyway. So, some people get off on all sorts of things, and I'm kind of like happy that people can get anything out of anything. So, really, you could be watching Oprah and just imagining this shit, and you wouldn't leave a movie like Body Melts, So, I just kind of transferred that kind of way of just imagining stuff.
Giving everyone a gift under their seat, and then their heads just start exploding and the green ooze coming out. So, yeah, I could totally see that. So, how do you pitch the movie to people? Because one thing I want to make this movie, but to get other people involved, what's that process to this is the movie I want to make, and what were people's response?
Well, it's kind of the situation in Australia is a bit different. I mean, America's the kind of the definitive model of just kind of getting out there and doing stuff and having lots of forces work against you, but still there's all sorts of ways in which all sorts of films from arty, politically correct, sort of independent movies to just left ball kind of gambles made by small studios for more mainstream films. There is no such thing as Hollywood. There is no such thing as dominant mainstream filmmaking in America. Kind of like there is, but it doesn't actually extinguish all the other kind of crazy possibilities. And that, as messy and chaotic as that is, that really is a true strength of American cinema. It always kind of has been. So even when I think of Hollywood, if you really look carefully at Hollywood, there have been so many instances where, some studio head has said, fuck it, let's get this guy from somewhere, and like we don't, he did something good in some other country. He's here now, and I think this is my view as an outsider. Of course, Americans will have a different view, but I've always noticed that kind of Hollywood. And when I say Hollywood, I also mean like, kind of Miramax or New Line, like they're all kind of connected, is that they seem to be really happy to have a non-American say really fucked up things about.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of other kind of nations kind of don't like someone kind of coming in and saying something. And I kind of, sometimes, there's kind of like bad things or woeful kind of examples of that. But still, I think that that's an amazing characteristic of just that high stakes gambling that filmmaking America kind of embraces. And so when you've got a much smaller kind of country and history and industry and culture like Australia, which essentially it's just like a white penal colony. It makes out that it's kind of got all these other kind of grand things about it. And come on, it's compared to kind of like the density and complexity and sort of amazing things, good and bad, that happen in other countries. Like we're very young and naive and limited in those kind of possibilities, and that I think gets manifest in our attitude to cultural output, what we produce. And in Australia, for ages, for decades, like easily 50 years, we've always made a big deal that we've got some national identity and that we need to tell our stories and share our stories. And it's like, they're like pathetic, white, crappy fucking stories, I'm telling you, and I've always hated those movies. But that's the kind of the dominant way in which Australian cinema has tended to kind of proceed, and I've always been critically against that. And so in the case of Body Melt, that was a real fluke, and that it got made, and it got made not through private funding; it got made through government support. So it's like kind of an AFI funded movie, let's say, kind of back from the 20s, in your situation. So that. It's like Australia has these kind of almost like, I don't know, like more kind of like weirdly theoretical possibilities that allow certain things to happen through these government kind of connections. But also those same forces can be a little bit kind of oppressive and stuff like that, meaning that they kind of think, well, we need to make films that celebrate the greatness of Australian culture. And it's like, well, dude, like we've got just as much fucked up shit as any other country. So you should be able to have both. That's all.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Warts and all kind of thing.
I always hear the term Ozploitation. What does that mean to you?
Well, to me specifically, it means lots of really fucking bad movies. And technically, I guess people are kind of really talking about kind of a 70s, 80s particular period, which was our attempt to be like the American free marketplace and make genre-oriented movies for predominantly a drive-in audience in that kind of era, a very kind of wide and profitable audience, and also not a dumb fucking audience. We know that, right? This idea that someone goes to university smart and someone who's kind of like, pumping gas is a moron. Like, that's so fucking stupid. So, like Australia kind of went for that, and so made these kind of movies. But man, at the end of the day, every one of those guys that were making those movies, you could kind of sense, and I still think it's evident in the movies, that they kind of hated their audience anyway, and that they really kind of like felt like they were slumming it, and they really didn't have the balls to really say, well, no, fuck you, I'm not interested in a chamber drama of, two married couples fucking whining about God knows what, for the whole film in their fucking kitchen drinking wine, We made plenty of those fucking movies. And
you're right, there's a lot of wine drinkers in a lot of those Australian flicks.
It's just awful. And so, like, it's almost like, okay, so here's then the alternative to it. But it's almost like, they were kind of like, it's almost like they were doing that in order to platform themselves to then make a proper movie kind of thing, And very few of them really had the balls to say, no, these are the genre pictures I'm making, and I'm making certain kind of concessions, and maybe there's some dumbness in these aspects of it, but no, I'm committed to making a solid movie in that kind of respect. And it's almost like the intelligentsia here in Australia sort of would never allow that voice to kind of come through from those makers. So there's almost, a non-stop kind of embarrassment of being involved in that. So in the 80s, I was writing a lot on particularly exploitation cinema and things like that in various journals and magazines and stuff like that. And so I was always kind of like championing the idea that these ways of telling stories and showing images that kind of weren't necessarily in the mainstream, but they were just another way to kind of have fun and excitement and make comments on things. Because it was still in that general area of genre and exploitation, things like that, it kind of like, it would only be accepted if, you could titter and laugh about it or call it a guilty pleasure, and all these bullshit, bushy fucking ways in which they kind of allow horror and stuff to kind of happen.
Well, it's even today, if a horror movie's up for an Oscar or whatever, it's no longer a horror movie, and then it's a thriller.
Oh yeah, we got to throw a different label on it.
Or they're comedies, and like, okay, I like some horror comedies too, but it's like, dude, can we just make the fucking horror movie? Because your jokes are pretty lame, and I tell you, I could sort of pause the movie just before every line, and like anyone in the audience could come up with that exact same fucking thing. Like, so it's kind of numbing the horror comedies, and it's weird, kind of like, we've got the onslaught of just endless horror comedies that all suddenly think they've got this amazing idea to use zombies to represent fucking consumer society. It's like, please go back to bed.
We've seen Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
that happened. Yeah.
No,
That was 40 years ago. Yeah,
it's not that kind of horror. It's like bloody intelligent horror. And like, there's been some great so-called intelligent horror, but it's kind of also, they then get supported.
Elevated horror.
Well, I don't know what it is, but they then get supported largely by an audience that have never seen a fucking horror movie in their life, and suddenly like there's a possessed mother, and it's like, oh my God, this is such an amazing kind of, sort of blah, blah, blah about motherhood. And it's like, fucking hell, what, have you ever seen anything, So that kind of then dumbs down horror in a different way. And it's weird. It's like, why is it's like everyone wants to somehow connect with horror, but they just don't have the guts to just say it's horror. Let's just do it. Let's be respectful to the genre.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the Terrifier movies, but I think that is something that just embraces being horror, and it's caught on with people.
Yeah. Well, and it'll always happen. There's going to be one that comes along that is a horror, and it might be a bit intelligent. It might have a bit humor, but the genre is so solid. I mean, horror is solid enough, like it will always survive no matter who tries to put it down, man.
Yeah. So, since you're not necessarily like wanting to make a horror movie, that's not what you sought out to do. So what kind of movies were you into? What kind of movies like made you like, I want to make a movie at some point?
Well, I've just had a screening of this movie down in Hobart recently, and I had to kind of tell the audience that like, I never really wanted to be a film director. I wasn't one of these kind of dickheads that was like 10 years old watching fucking Indiana Jones with my dad and then I want to make a movie one day. It's just like, man, like, I used to think, directors were dickheads because they kind of go on this, they fucking, or they'd say something about Stanley Kubrick. It's like fucking hell. Like they were like walking cliches, right? And there was just nothing, and particularly in Australian movies are so fucking awful. And it's like, why would I want to be a film director? Like, just when I'm kind of like a teenager or kind of in my 20s. So I was involved in music. I'm a drummer. We were in like punk bands and stuff like that. And so I made different kind of movies. And there was a lot of, in Australia, it's different from punk in America. In here, we were more like kind of, like in England, there was a lot of kind of like art student punk band kind of crossovers. So things were a lot more kind of like maybe a bit more theatrical or artsy and things like that, but still with lots of fun and kind of energy. So it didn't have that kind of like thrash, hardcore, suburban angst kind of thing that you have in the States, you know, with Black Flag and people like that. So, but, you know, we were more kind of like pretentious and arty, you know, which is just another kind of fun way of kind of like making music and noise and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I kind of come from, man. And so I made, you know, the film I made before Salt Saliva is a movie called, before Body Melt is called Salt, Saliva, Sperm and Sweat. So I'll let you figure out what
That's a great title, though.
Yeah, from body fluids to body melt.
Yep.
You got it.
Yeah. I actually watched some of your I don't even know if you call them music videos, but they're almost like short films with music to them on your website. And I thought they were really cool. So one of them was like 40 minutes. So I was like, this is I guess it's technically a short film. I don't know what you call it, but
so a lot of these things got shown in things like galleries and museums and venues. You know, sometimes we played in kind of like projected things in kind of pubs and bars and things like that. So that's kind of like the background I've come from. So really Body Melt is the most kind of like official industry seeming kind of thing that I've done. But, you know, fortunately it's still kind of carried on and people kind of like it. Yeah.
So after your experience, we'll talk more about your experience to make, but after the experience of making it, you didn't make another movie. So was that just like, this is enough? I don't want to do this again, or
no, that was because so it's what 1993 when it's kind of selling, and so it's sold all around the world. Like, so it's, you know, it's on Laserdisc in the States, you know, sort of, you know, God, on VHS and DVD in pretty much name a territory. So it's even like kind of in Brazil. You know, it was dubbed in Portuguese, right? They changed the story, so they made out that the doctor was working for the Nazis.
That's awesome. I want to see that cut.
Yeah.
So, in India, they kind of because they're not big on kind of showing kind of sex and gore and stuff like that. So they kind of they edited 20 minutes out of it and theatrically released it, and then they wanted a cheaper price for the international sale. Russia, you know, it's called Body Trash in France, you know, so it sold all these. But we couldn't get a distributor in Australia.
All right.
So it kind of then has a kind of a phantom existence in Australia. It's like Body Melt. What was that? You know, so so it's just one of these unfortunate things that goes everywhere else except your hometown, and so you can't walk down the street and gain any benefits from it. Like,
but if you get some tourists coming by like, hey man, I love that movie.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
The hell this guy? Yeah.
But these are kind of like, you know, sob stories that like every director's got in one way or another, man. You know, like just the brutal reality of just how things kind of stand and fall and where you go on from that, you know.
So what was the reason? Did they give you a reason why no one would want to distribute it in Australia?
Not really. It's like with many of these, once it comes to distribution, you know, whatever kind of, you know, country or city you're in, you've got about a dozen fucking options, you know what I mean? Like in terms of the actual potential distributors that might pick it up, you know. Yeah. And once kind of, you know, 10 of those 12 have kind of already passed on it, like kind of word goes around and stuff like that. And so, and that's definitely also how it plays out when things are in the kind of the foreign marketplaces, be they AFM or Cannes or something like that. So, yeah, that's just a real, you know, it's like, it's highly competitive. There's all that kind of stuff. In Australia, you know, you know, when it's your hometown, it's kind of like there's just sort of like more narrow-minded caretaker kind of ideas about what people think is right to be done, whereas they don't think that when it's a foreign product. It's like, hey, this is cool.
Right.
No, face value. We have the same thing here. It definitely is. Yeah.
So, and each country, I guess, globally, then everyone gets their go by having things outside of where they come from. So that works out well.
Yeah. So you just that. So after that, you just like you don't want to. You didn't pursue making another movie.
I
You didn't have the
certainly
interest.
did. I certainly did, but it's called development hell. It just kind of stretches on. It's like that end scene in Lucio Fulci's not The Fog, what is it? City of the Living Dead, when they go down and there's just like that sort of plane of nothingness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Well, see, horror movies if you know Fulci. So the what was going to the follow up be? Was it going to be a Body Melt 2, or was it going to be a completely different
No,
thing?
not really. Like I developed for a long time a movie called The Sound of Milk, which was set in the year 3000, and most of northern hemisphere had gone underwater, and all of Asia had submerged with Australia, and there were no more Caucasian genes left, so there was only Asian genes left in the world, and men and women had become separate genetic species.
Wow.
And then it's a gender war. It's just a war between men and women. And then the world ends at the end of it.
It's an uplifting movie here.
It ticks all the boxes, yeah.
Jonathan Jackson adds Australia bans all the cool video games too, so screw them.
Good on you.
So you have like some great people in the movie. I really love the like the I don't know what you call them, like the family, the folk people. I think they're great in the movie.
Oh.
Like Neil Foley, I thought he's like probably my favorite person in the movie.
They're
where
so
do you
bizarre, that whole group.
Yeah, they're great. I love them. So, where did you find? Were they people you knew? Like,
Oh yeah, there's a mix, and Neil I knew kind of before that too, and Neil of course then went on to run Monster Pictures down here in Australia.
all right.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. I actually get emails. Yeah, we promote their stuff. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if he's there now, but him and Grant both kind of started up Monster Pictures and whatnot. And Neil was at that stage. Neil was doing kind of like acting, so quite a bit of acting in different things and whatnot. So it was great to kind of have Neil in the film. But no, the rest, most of the actors in that, a lot of them are more from television. They're not necessarily kind of like, there's some famous, kind of slightly more famous people, but Australian casting at the time in the 90s, it was kind of like as if like every woman was a Kate Blanchett and every kind of guy was a Russell Crowe. So they're always thinking grand visions of, the great pool of Australian talent. And it's like, whatever. It's like I wasn't interested in that level and that type of acting even. I just wanted something that really just looked like someone had walked off of an advertisement on television and were in this movie, Yeah. So that was
like the contrast of that with like the Neil Foley character.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, you'd be familiar with you've got your north-south kind of divide, and
all right, yeah. So you got like a hillbilly,
which is you just got to speak to what's his name, Jimmy McDonough, about hillbilly culture, right? It's like that's fucked. So meaning to put down people from the south. If they're all fucking hillbillies, and so
the guy who started the show with us, John, is from West Virginia, and so we would friendly joke back and forth. Yeah,
in Australia, like the similar divide, like there's the kind of like the urban centres, which are just these shitty little outposts on the coast that think they're fucking like like amazing, but the bulk of Australia is kind of like just it's rural, it's the bush, it's farming, it's all those sorts of things, farming and mining, of course. But anyway,
so when you're doing like the really weird, I say gore, but now I think about it's not gore since it's like slime and stuff. Like, how much is that scripted out? Like, then a giant tongue comes out.
Well, pretty much it's like really, really thoroughly scripted and storyboarded, because that was the only reason for making the film. So like pretty much if you pick every kind of scene where something happens, it almost makes a composite full human body. So it started very simply with the idea of like, I want to see a woman drop her placenta. I want to see a woman's tongue enlarge and kill her. I want to see a guy drowning in his own snot, and then I
That was pretty gruesome.
Then I just write the story around it, and it's almost like,
who doesn't want to see all this stuff?
Yeah.
And that's it. You just got to have an impulse for what you want to see, you know. And the only things I really enjoy watching in movies, I don't care whether it's highbrow or lowbrow, but if it's got that sort of that feeling that whoever's made it has literally just thought up of something they want to see and have gone full bore on down that path, then that's what I'm interested in. I don't want them to kind of even think about me as the viewer. I want them to regard me. Yeah.
I actually really like that. Did you keep anything? Like, did you keep the tongue or?
No,
those props, those were pretty cool.
I think I've got one of the kind of the close-ups, the close-up shot of we've got the kangaroo downstairs where they take the kind of gland and eat it. But yeah, I haven't got any of the other stuff. Bob McCarran is the guy that did all the special effects makeup. So,
had you worked with him before? Or like, did you know him?
Bob, no, but but he was. The storyboard was very kind of detailed, so that like we could really effectively let Bob kind of and economically just focus on exactly what was kind of required and needed, so we didn't do any unnecessary work. Because tight storyboarding with special effects makeup that's what allows that to happen in a production.
You know, like you said, it's technically not gore. Did censors come after you at all for the movie?
No, yeah, apart from the Indians. But no, there wasn't any real problem with it, because as I said, it's like it's not actually kind of malicious or violent.
Yeah.
So that's usually what censors don't like. What they call relish. They don't like anyone performing violence with relish, and they don't mean tomato ketchup on that.
So did you travel to any of the other, when it was playing around, did you go to any of the other countries to watch it?
I went to London, I think. Rod Bishop, one of the co-producers, he went to Sitges. Toronto, Midnight Madness, they rejected it.
Wow.
It's like, what the fuck?
That seems like a perfect movie for Midnight Madness.
I know, yeah.
It's just like, it kind of amazes me, when I think about it, just like the missed opportunity that a lot of people kind of had. They could have just rolled with the movie, but I don't know, like maybe in much the same way that for some people at the time, they thought it just didn't fit properly, whatever box they kind of wanted to put it in. Maybe that's the very same quality that's allowed it to somehow survive with some measure of distinction to this day. That it, just does. It's a bit of this, a bit of that, but it doesn't necessarily sit, in a conventional place. Maybe.
Now, did you know that it had these fans in other countries and had a following?
Not really, man, because it wasn't probably until about because when your movie fails in your own country, I'd be lying to say I wasn't fucking pissed off. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like it's just kind of like you carry that around like a bad fucking grudge, which is a really negative kind of weight to bear. And, I think about all the different kind of like directors that have only made one movie and didn't go on to the second one, some of them are probably, sort of drunk holding a gun some nights. It's just kind of like when you put it all of, your passion and energy into something and you're not asking for the world. You just, all you want is a small fucking release, kind of thing. So it's kind of like, it can be, pretty harsh. But, having said that, I'm not one to kind of unrealistically support art above anything else, because someone opening up a fucking hamburger joint puts the same bunch of energy into something and they might not succeed. So there's no kind of, proper justice in all of this. It's just kind of like shit that happens. But you do, I carried that around for a long time, and it wasn't until I think in all honesty, 2015 that I actually then, went online. And that's when I saw eBay sales for like the Brazilian VHS and stuff
Okay.
like that, right? And it was like, because I'd pretty much had suppressed all memory of making the movie, because like, here in Australia, it wasn't as if like, oh, Phil, who made Body Melt. It was, I'm known here for other things, but not for Body Melt. And so it's almost like I didn't even make the fucking movie,
Yeah.
But then when I found this stuff on eBay, I thought, fuck, I want a copy of that. So I started buying all the different videos and stuff like that.
Did you tell them that it was you buying it? Because I think that's like pretty cool. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
that's
I just
pretty
sold this to the
wild.
guy who made
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, not really. I just kind of ordered it on eBay.
Yeah.
But I think what kind of happened also was probably, I think it was 2000 was it 2006 or 7, something like that? That's when Tarantino kind of saw it, and then he starts going around. It's the best Australian film of the 90s. And then back here in Australia, I then had all these people saying, "Oh, Phil, Body Melt."
Now they love you again. Okay.
I basically urinated on those people. It's just, how dare you fucking say that to me? And so that just made me more bitter, like, oh, Phil, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, fuck, where were you? I just wanted to have it play in a fucking small cinema somewhere. So I then didn't even watch the look at the DVD once it got put out, in 2006, around that kind of like time. I just fucking didn't even want to see it. So I hadn't watched it for years and years. And so it was only after that once 2015, I then started to kind of like, different other people kind of contacted me and stuff like that. So it just kind of like trickled. And then we did the Blu-ray restoration and stuff. I think I started working on that in 2016, and it came out first here in Australia in 2017. And then it's, gone on in Europe and England and Vinegar there in the States and whatnot. And it's just found a new audience. So that's good. And that's the great thing about these kind of companies that are just releasing older kind of films, that it just does give them a new life. And I've got to see lots of kind of content that those distributors and releasing companies have put out. So I'm really happy about that.
I love commentary tracks. And,
so much fun.
I've mentioned this, I've bought some movies that I don't personally like, but I bought them so I can listen to the commentary tracks.
Yeah. And it's like, and also, sometimes things that, you see them when they came out and you think, oh, that's okay. But then, some years down the track, you get to see it in a kind of like a fuller way, rather than a narrow way. So that's also a good thing about these re-releases, I reckon.
Yeah. And they're loaded with stuff. So, because you can almost see anything streaming today. So to buy it, you want like all these cool things.
Yeah, you want all this stuff.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Because I know technically it's on Tubi, but get the Vinegar Syndrome release. It's cooler.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get the one with the original slipcover. It's sold out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
and
limited to 2,000. It's sold out.
It was. I'm just remembering that in the that's right. Like there's a number of releases that, like in the first DVD releases around 2004 or whatever, that were labeled as director's cut, right? And I'm thinking, what the? This is only
the director here. Yeah,
this is only in 2000.
I didn't cut anything. What the hell?
When I'm buying them all from eBay, and then like I realized that what they did, and I remember this at the time when in the States, when it was Prism, I think it was, that released it on VHS and Laserdisc, and there's a scene in it where the grandmother or whatever is in the kind of the old, the outback kind of inbred kind of thing, and she's watching a kind of a porno on the TV, and it's actually a scene from my other film, Salt, Saliva, Sperm and Spit.
Oh, that's too funny.
and it's actually my testicles and my girlfriend's ass at the time, like just kind of she's cowgirling me and stuff, and so when it was released in the States, they removed that from the screenshot where you actually see it, and then put some kind of tacky, like, late 80s softcore porn I can wear, some tasteful porn, and so unfortunately now it's been properly restored. I think on the vinegar. I'm pretty sure it is on the Vinegar Syndrome.
That's the director's cut.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yep.
So the director's cut, it's the one with my balls in it.
Yeah,
So.
the director's testicles in the director's cut.
That's what the Brophy balls cut. That would be. and does it have
That's right on the cover right now?
Does it have anything about Nazis in the director's cut?
No, nothing about that. I'm still trying to track. I've seen just a little excerpt of it on YouTube. It's post-dub, so it's got these thick Portuguese accents.
That's awesome.
I love that. By the way, how do you say? Because I've seen different ways. I'm interested. How do you say your band? That's it's like right, up, down. I've seen it 3 clicks, and I've seen it 3.
So this is, when you in the Venn diagram of extreme punkiness and extreme artiness, you get a band like that I had, and it was called.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So most people are completely incorrect. Yeah, I think Wikipedia has it run.
Yeah. But that's kind of like, okay, let's have instead of having just like a dumb name or a gory name or an offensive name, it's like, let's have a name that you can't even say.
That's tremendous. I love it.
There you go. I regret it after, soon after, but then, you got to wear what you did.
All right. Well, are you working on anything currently? Maybe not, body melts wise, but
not. I've written a couple of books for the BFI I've done a lot of stuff on film soundtracks and Japanese anime.
Nice.
So I'm just working on another, book project that's actually about images of destruction in Japan.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, particularly like explosions and bombs, and particularly in anime and movies and things like that.
All right. Do you have any anime suggestions? I don't know a lot about anime. Troy knows a lot more than I do.
Well, the first thing you do is you kill all American and Canadian. It's just fucking get rid of them. Like, it's just kind of like it'd be like kind of taking Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice and redubbing it with gruff Turkish shop owners, right? And then saying, "Yep, well, we just made it better so that people would with characters,
Yeah.
And the dumbass kind of wannabe comedian bullshit of American fucking voice actors. And there's
always go subtitles on those, so that's your best bet.
Yeah, it's like it's from a foreign culture. It's such a different culture. So like you got to take it how it is. It's not there for you. It's there from its own culture. So you've got to come to it and work a bit harder on it. So and I understand a lot of people just don't like fucking reading subtitles, but when it comes to anime, like, it's really important because the voices are kind of like they're not wild and wacky, because to them the content isn't wild and wacky. Right. It's actually a lot more normal or a lot more dramatic or a lot more serious. But if you don't understand that culture, you think, wow, that's weird. I better do that lets the audience know it's weird. And it's kind of like culturally offensive to do that sort of thing. It's kind of so. But I think that on the one hand, that's made anime really successful around the world, because it's kind of like got that sort of like first year uni nerdy cosplay bullshit kind of going for it. Yep. But on the other hand, in Japan, the audience there's very different demographics in the audiences. They're kids, they're teens, they're educated, they're not educated, they're elderly working people. Like, there's a more of a full understanding of the power of comics and quote unquote cartoons in Japan. That's part of their cultural, storytelling traditions. And so that's what all goes into anime. But then when it gets exported, it then gets kind of mucked up in different ways. But fortunately, I think that, there's always something just strangely different in anime stories and tones and moods and things like that, that even like really young kids, they know it ain't a fucking Pixar movie. They know that it's kind of like really for them as kids and not for the parents that want the kids to enjoy something. It's a very different non-parental kind of thing. And I think that's also maybe what makes it so popular. But please, just everyone, give anime a chance. Find the and don't go for the obvious fucking successful titles. There's lots of kind of alternative titles, So I mean, things like Gantz, from 2004, that is so fucked up, and that's really well worth watching. There you go.
Well, I remember taking the nephews to go see. Oh my God, it's the one about the Tanuki when they.
Oh yeah,
Yep. And they thought that was the greatest thing they've ever seen. Like they didn't understand the language, probably didn't even read half the subtitles. When you've got giant magical scrotum floating across the screen, they went berserk. They thought that was the greatest thing they've ever seen.
It is. It's just.
So you're absolutely right. It's
got the freedom of imagination. That's kind of. It's not hedging audiences or working out their stories. I once saw Prince by the same company, Studio Ghibli.
Mononoke?
Yeah, Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, so good.
I saw that when it came out in Japan. I mean, I speak Japanese, and so I saw it at the when it came out.
Well, you guys are so close, right? Like Japan's pretty close to you guys.
But this was 1996, I think it was, and it had already been playing for about 6 months, and it was a Saturday night, completely packed cinema.
Wow.
And I sat down and I'm watching it, right? And like there was lots of families there, like, with kind of, parents and then like really young children and everything. All of the kids completely dead quiet. I'm struggling. I mean, I'm trying to just follow the language and everything, but the story is so complex. I'm sort of thinking,
big time.
And I look over at these little kids and they're all just kind of like completely taken in, everything, the violence and everything. And I'm thought, fuck, this is why children's entertainment in anime and manga is so kind of sophisticated, because the audience is sophisticated. And I think it's not that they're brighter than American kids or whatever. It's just that the kids have been allowed to stand out for themselves, as opposed to, the parent going with their kid to a Pixar thing and checking, are you okay with, with this section, and just having, and, the kids, always saying, what's that? Why is he doing that? It's just like, shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Yeah, just enjoy it. Just go with it. You're right.
Anyway, that's my anime rant.
No, I can get behind that.
I was trying to find a fan of the show, Go 13 out there. He sent me Violent Jack, I think is the name of it. To try to get me into anime, so I need to watch it, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's incredible. The manga and the anime is like, it's insane.
Yeah, he sent me the DVD or Blu-ray. I'm not sure, but I'll check it out now. Sorry, I haven't yet. Go up there. So, Philip is making me here. So no. All right. So this has been awesome though to talk with you.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
So cool.
Yeah. Thanks for your show. So where are you? So you're in the same cities or not? You are.
Not in the same city, but we're close. We're both in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I'm on. You won't know. I'm in Sandwich and he's in Wareham. But we're very similar. Yeah.
Neil's my baby brother, so like we used to live together.
Right. Yeah. Troy's much older brother.
Cool.
He's got much more hair than me though.
Yeah. Everywhere too. You got a long beard there, man.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know about everywhere, but yeah, definitely the beard and. I don't think we want to. We go on that.
That's another episode.
We have got to wait for the director's cut.
Yeah, exactly. That's the OnlyFans edition of Without Your Head.
Yeah. Oh, where can people follow you? Not like back to your home or anything, but do you want them to seek you out online or anything like that?
Sorry, man. Sorry, I missed
Oh,
that.
where can people follow you online just to see what you're up to, if you want them to?
Yeah, they can just go to the website and see the other stuff. You know, it's a mixed bag and stuff. So it's, you know, you can pick and choose what you like or don't like.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually watched a video of you talking about what's the movie? It's an Australian movie. Oh man, I forget the name of it now.
Priscilla.
Yes.
Oh,
Priscilla, Queen of the
love
Desert,
me some
yeah.
Priscilla.
So we had this series of books where like they wanted to kind of like honor, you know, like great Australian films, and they contacted me and said, "Oh, Phil, we'd really like you to write about an Australian movie." I said, "Can I write about one that I really hate?" And they, Philip. And so I then wrote about a movie I completely hate, which is that fucking Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And so then just wrote this book that's just like bilious. It's just kind of like a takedown of every single frame of that movie, which I hate. And then they published it, which is mainly because
that's awesome.
The editor of the series, Jane Mills, was very supportive and very kind of broad-based, and she realised, well, this is a valid, you know, way for someone to write about a well-known Australian film. And then you know, like there was talk about kind of launching it and everything, and then the places that were going to launch it, which were these prestigious bookstores and stuff like that, they then saw what was in the book and they all cancelled. So no launch. And then eventually, like I think there's something like 15 books in the series, and they always say, you know, like Australian screen classics, 15, you know, books of famous movies, and then they removed it from their kind of as one of the series, and then they rewrote it so that it's like the famous series of 14 amazing kind of books. And so it was, and that talk you saw, I only realized that was the case when a friend asked me to give this talk on the book. And I went to find out, you know, I thought, I'll check out, you know, some reviews of the film on Amazon or their site and stuff like that. And it's like 000 book doesn't exist. And it's like,
oh God.
Hell. So yeah, but you know, that I recommend that book if you want to know of a different way of viewing fucking Australian movies.
Do you have
Stamp has a big footprint, you know? He's like, put the kibosh on this thing right now.
What would be your favorite Australian movies? Do you have besides Body Melt, of course?
Man, I don't really. It's kind of like it doesn't. I don't care where the film comes from. I don't care the age, the gender, the political orientation, whatever. Like a movie, like any art, it can just be what it is. And you know, I'm never one to kind of sociologically or politically tie it back to something. So I don't care how extreme right or how extreme left or anything kind of is. It's like if there's something interesting there that makes me think or get excited or just have some experience. So, you know, it's like, you know, why should I even bother thinking whether there's an interesting Australian movie when, you know, I've already seen Crispin Glover's movies or Harmony Korine movies or David Lynch's fucking movies. It's like, you know, that's kind of like, you know, being into kind of like, you know, death and new metal. And then kind of someone saying, you know, so Phil, what about some folk music? Is there any folk music? It's like, dude, I'm not listening to folk music. I'm listening to this. You know, and they say, but they're all music, Phil. It's like, well, no, but that's not what I'm listening to. It's not what I'm into. So that's how I can't answer your question, man.
No, it's totally fine. I'm going to bring this up just because I don't know why, but when I was a kid and they'd show Mad Max on TV, they would dub Mad Max, even though it's in English. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that or but
I saw Road Warrior. I saw it in London in American, which is fantastic. I mean, I don't know if your people can understand me or not understand me, but apparently the Australian accent is kind of like, I don't know, hard to understand. Didn't you guys subtitle Train Spotting? The Scottish movie?
Yeah, I think it was.
You're right.
Original.
You're absolutely
might not
right.
be anymore, but yeah.
But
although the Scots can get pretty thick sometimes. Sometimes, like you get that burr going, and it can be a little tough sometimes.
They can, but it's kind of like people. Use your ears, concentrate,
exactly.
Do some work. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
We're the audience. We want to be lazy. We don't want to do any work. And in this,
well, fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, where did your movie? Where did Body Melt play in London? You know, like what theater?
That was at the London Film Festival and a few other places and whatnot. Nice. And then I think who released it on DVD originally over there? I can't remember, but the Blu-ray is 88 Films. They did it like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Because I've seen movies in London, so I didn't know if it was like a theater. I've been to Leicester Square in London in the Prince.
Oh yeah. So no, it would have been a smaller cinema, not the Scala, but some of those other ones. Yeah.
The Prince Charles is the cooler, smaller theater around the same area.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah. True.
Which is where my movie played. That's why I brought it up. But,
a rump for rump. All right.
It's a very elevated horror film. All right, this has been awesome. I really enjoy you as a guest here. It's fun talking.
Cool. It's been fun talking with you guys, and thanks for having me on. And hi to everyone.
Thank you for doing this. I was glad.
Feel free to come back sometime.
Yeah.
If I ever get another movie made, I'll let you know.
All right, we'll make a list of horror movies you hate, and we'll bring you on. And
that'll be fun. Yeah, just be like, and somebody defending them, and like,
yeah.
That's a big pile of shit. No.
Well, I'm eternally positive about being negative.
Excellent. That's a good way to be.
All right, man. We'll talk to you.
Thanks again.
All right, mate. See you, man.
Bye. I remember that Todd when I used to talk to Susie. She used to say Todd.
That's right. Yep.
I think she. I don't know what happened to her. I haven't seen her in years.
I hope she's well. She was
a
sweet person.
So that was two great guests, Todd
Schneider.
God, yeah.
Two completely opposite
Brophy.
people. I like them a lot.
Yeah, that was really fun. I was glad he did it. So that was good stuff. So send in your Halloween costume.
Send them to us.
Yeah, so
grade them, rate them.
Yeah, dress up.
The best one.
Send it in. What you do is you take a picture of yourself in your Halloween costume. Send it in. That's that simple. You can send it to me on Facebook. You can email me withoutyourhead@gmail.com. You can post it right on the group on Facebook. You can whatever. Send it to us. It's fun. Everyone's going to check them out. And the winner this year is going to get a personalized 8-bit sprite by me.
Nice.
Of you in the costume. So send that in. It's also send in your carved pumpkins.
Yes. Got to see those.
So we have one.
Nice.
Sent this in last week. She was on the show last week, and she sent this in this week. So we're getting the ball started here. So the only rule is it's got to be from this year. So don't send, and it's got to be you.
Yeah.
Don't Google image search something and don't cheat. What I'm saying. I think we lost Troy here, but we'll probably be wrapping up soon. Let's see what Smile 2 doing really well at the theater. We're actually going to have the folks on, Brian Spears and Jeremy Sellenfriend, the FX artists who did the prosthetic effects in Smile 2. They'll be on the show, I think, the November 21st. Next week, I'm not sure. Next week's Halloween. So I don't think we're going to be live on Halloween, but we will have some, I don't know, maybe we will be live on Halloween. I know we're going to have some interviews. We're going to have the director of Carved, the new Halloween horror film. So that'll be cool. I'm actually interviewing tomorrow the director of Trippy, which is a zombie kangaroo Australian film. I should have brought this up to Philip. I'd like to know what he thinks of a zombie kangaroo Australian film. I don't know what I think, but we'll find out. Let's see. Do I have anything? I'm going to be showing a couple trailers. We're going to be showing the Dawn. I'm going to show that right now. The Dawn trailer. This is from our friend Justin Beheading. It's his new film. Let's check this out. Oh, I do have a big announcement too. So wait right here, and we have an announcement.
This is Dawn, a young woman who leads a quiet life at home. She is a loving mother, is bullied by the neighborhood girls.
Oh! Have you ever seen anyone with such pale skin?
She looks like an Addams Family reject.
Is loved by the neighborhood boy. But what they don't know is Dawn has a shocking secret.
I saw these two girls, and they were tied up. And it was just a nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare.
Dawn, what's wrong?
Dawn, the kind of girl you don't bring home to mother.
Whoa, that's from our boy Justin Beheading.
Always love his stuff.
Yeah, that looks really cool. So I got an announcement here, Troy.
Oh,
it's the first time it's being announced. The voice of the Demon Tree in Arbor Day is
I'm Tim Dry, and I'm coming to you from London in the United Kingdom. Just a little bit about myself, just enough to whet your appetite. I played 2 character roles in Return of the Jedi. One was Jay Quill, a bad boy. One was a Mon Calamari officer. Anyway, I also played the title role in Extra. The point of this little video is to say that A, I have known Neal, Annabelle and Troy for many years now, but I am enormously excited to be a tiny part of their upcoming debut feature, Arbor Day. And I will be providing
the voice of the Demon Tree. Do you think you're ready to handle this?
Anyway, stay tuned for more info. It's gonna be monstrous.
Ciao for now.
God damn, I'm freaking scared now.
As am I.
It's a little little tease there.
Tease, yep.
A longtime friend, Tim Dry, will be
Tremendous.
the voice of you don't know we know the name, but you don't know the name yet of the Demon Tree of Arbor Day. Boom!
That's
very cool.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like we said in the past, just like all these people that we've always wanted to do some stuff with, people that we love, like just awesome.
Zombie Kangaroo, why didn't you lead with that? That's true. That's true. I was about to send in an AI photo, Jonathan.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I'm sorry. So Catnip, we had the folks on the other week from Catnip. Brooke Bundy, Tiffany Helm, the Kickstarter, the crowdfunder is up. They got all kinds of cool stuff you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out. The Zuni Hunter doll from Trilogy of Terror.
What? Where can you find this?
It sold in 2019 for more than $200,000. So they're saying that it's the most expensive horror prop ever made.
That's crazy. That's wild, though. Excellent.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Karen
would like to
Black,
own that.
cool Richard Matheson story.
Yeah.
Most cool.
Yeah, I read the story for the first time recently. That and the one, the Twilight Zone one, and on the plane.
Yep. That one's so good too.
Oh, so Annabelle and I went this weekend, and we saw a double feature, Vincent Price double feature at Somerville Theater, and it was House on Haunted Hill.
Nice.
And they had the William Castle deal where the ghost came down from the ceiling over everybody.
Nice.
And then Last Man on Earth, which I think, the other movie's fun. It's honestly not a great movie, but it's very fun. But Last Man on Earth is a great movie.
Speaking of Matheson?
Yes, that's what popped in my head. It's definitely the closest to the novella.
Yep.
And I don't know why none of the others even try to really get the ending. The Price one, it's not perfect, the ending, but at least it's close.
Yep.
And it's like the big part of the story. It's like the biggest why it's even called.
Yeah.
But that was really
which
fun.
Is all three of them I enjoed. Like all
I like all three
versions, of the
I'm a big fan of the Omega Man. It's not really much like the story, honestly. But I like it a lot. Neville. Is he called Neville in that? Because he's not Neville.
Yeah, he's Neville in the Omega Man.
And then I Am Legend, I think their first 45 minutes is great. And then it really delves into like just a CG kind of.
Yeah. Like
it's a victim of that era of like CG stuff where it's just a whole bunch of the same monster running around.
Yep. Agreed. And then to think of what it could have been, like
because the end, like it's hinted it's going to go a certain way, like the book, and it doesn't.
Nothing.
I know they kept saying they were going to do a sequel, which I never really understood.
No, I don't see how you can at that point. But
this is cool, Troy.
Oh.
Limited edition Alien Romulus VHS.
Ooh. Oh, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I'd totally buy that.
Yep.
Even though I don't have a working VCR.
No, neither do I. But just to have it would be neat.
Yeah. We just want it. And that's like a lot of stuff, I guess. Like,
yeah, that's true.
The Monkey. Have you ever read The Monkey, the Stephen King story, The Monkey?
The Monkey's Paw, or is it just The Monkey?
I think it's just called The Monkey.
Oh, I don't think I have then.
So it's coming. James Wan produced it. Osgood Perkins, who did Long Legs, is directing it.
Oh, wow.
Or he did direct it.
February 21st. We'll have to go check that one out then.
Yeah, it's my birthday week.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I like the poster.
I do too.
Man, Osgood Perkins just made Long Legs, it seems.
I know, yeah. He's kind of the guy. Like, I wouldn't, I wouldn't mind seeing him keep on going with this. This is nice.
When I went to see Long Legs, it was a press screening, and everyone else there was very like pompous and like I think they wrote the newspaper. I was the only horror guy, and the one older guy, he was so annoying. He was asking. There was only one person there that was younger than me. Everyone else was probably like 60s and 70s, and there was a younger woman there. And the guy's like, "You know who this is? You know who his dad was." And so,
he's trying to impress, huh?
Yeah, but then he just kept saying how it was Oz Perkins' debut film, and I was wondering, like, no, it's not. He's had multiple films. It's like it was like his fourth movie that was yet to release. Yeah, he didn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then there was another guy who was talking about binge watching Green Acres.
Wow. That's a show.
It's like, of all things, Green Acres? What the hell kind of waste of time is that? Then he started to sing the theme song like it was. He's like, I've watched so many episodes, I even know the theme. Like, everyone knows the theme. Even if
I
you didn't
haven't
watch the
watched one in
show.
45 years, and I can tell you the theme. I can sing along.
God, they were so annoying. So
you need a clean slate and watch the movie again, because I think you'll enjoy
I
it
do.
more.
I think it did. It might have took away from my experience.
Mhm.
So 4 horror movies that came out last week. Stream, which we wanted to go see, but it didn't play anywhere here.
Oh, is that Smile 2?
Is that coming up on the screen?
Oh,
No,
I
this
don't
is
know what that
Stream.
is. Oh, okay. No, I don't know about this movie.
From the team behind Terrifier movie Stream. Came out at theaters in August, and now it's on VOD.
Oh, okay, nice.
It's got Tony Todd, Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, wow.
Danielle Harris.
Oh, I'm digging
E.
the cast
Wallace.
anyway. Nice.
Yeah. David Howard Thornton.
Oh, nice.
Just pretty much everyone you could think of is in it. Bill Moseley.
Nice. That's awesome. All right, I'll have to find this movie.
Yeah, so go.
That's a pretty spooky mask too. I kind of dig it.
So that's good. Yeah. Hold on one sec. I'm having some technical issues here. All right. Romulus.
Oh.
We went to see it, which we loved, and it's it's out on video on demand. The Forest Hills is also out on demand. That is new werewolf movie. Werewolves have really come back.
Nice. That's good to see. I miss me some werewolves. So.
Yeah, and that's Shelley Duvall's final film.
Okay, very good. We'll have to see
her
that
comeback film, and then her final film. So I don't know if she got to see the finished movie or not, but opening this Saturday is Round the Decay. Has its premiere in Massachusetts.
I
love the new poster.
I do dig the poster.
And it has me curious. It says only monsters can kill monsters.
All right, I'm down.
Yeah, what does that mean? Makes me think that there's something going on there. Green Acres is awesome.
It is the place to be.
Gregory Lamberson, in between filming his new werewolf movie, he's binge watching Green Acres.
And who could blame him? Ava Gabor, she just rules in that.
Popping in to say, in between loads of laundry, guess yeah, Michael was on for an hour and a half at the beginning, and we talked about you, Greg. If I had known you were a big Green Acres
ears
fan,
were ringing.
It wouldn't have been as positive. No, I don't mind Green Acres. It was just like, whoa, who cares that you're binge watching Green Acres?
It's one of the more throwaway series, I think.
Yeah. New York is where Greg would rather be. Farm living is a life for me.
Land spreading out so far and wide.
Something. Give me the countryside. Damn. Movie. Let's see. So we got some cool guests coming up. Join the Facebook group. That is where you will see all the upcoming guests.
Join us.
Follow us on the Instagram. I got to get with the time to post more stuff on the Instagram. I call it the Instagram, the IG.
Oh.
Greg will watch Michael on Yeah, actually, I think Michael might still be in the backstage area here. We'll pop him back up, but I don't think he's there. I don't want to put him on the spot.
No.
That's what we're gonna start doing. Just pop him.
Somebody with their yankle in their hand or something.
They're really enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Well, Michael's a great guest. We talked about this movie here, the Profane Exhibit. We brought up that it premiered at Gregory's final Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival. I'm cool. I got the cool slipcover one.
Ooh.
we talked about is All American Devil. I'm a big fan of. I also really like the Profane Exhibit. His segment I really dug. So we're actually going to be having the producer of this on soon. This is the Caligula, the ultimate cut. So years ago, Troy interviewed Malcolm McDowell, and I told him, it's on the video. I was like, my mom loves Caligula. And he just looked at me, and he said, no wonder you're so fucked up.
Malcolm McDowell. You got to love it, man. And that one, ooh. That one, I think you'll be getting a lot of what have we there? I know.
Oh, this is the you can only get this if you are a backer to the Once and Future Smash End Zone 2 with the cool cover. But you can still get this, but you won't get this. But I recommend getting this because you get all kinds of cool extras. My first ever time doing the commentary tracks on two movies. So.
And you've watched thousands of them, probably.
Yes. Watched millions of films, so that's cool. I also have these were out. These are the limited edition ones from Horror Pack. So if you're a Horror Pack subscriber, I think in August you get both of these.
Oh wow, that's pretty wicked.
These are the separate. So you got Once and Fat End Zone 2 on Blu-ray. And then you also got the Once and Future Smash. These were the limited edition ones, number 98 and 99 on the Horror Pack.
Oh, wow.
They did a really nice job on those. I kind of don't want to open them. I only have one copy of them.
Yeah, don't mess with them.
Yeah, I think I might just keep them right on.
Especially since they're numbered and stuff. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I like those people. Then we get the limited edition. I think there might be a couple of VHS tapes left, but you have to go to the Indiegogo and order them there. There's no more left of the. You can get the Blu-rays, but you can't get the Blu-rays with the slipcover. But get the Blu-rays. If there's any of these left, you should probably get it because we won't be ordering more of them. That'll be the end of the VHS run.
Get them.
Yeah. Lamberson has it. I didn't okay that. I didn't say it's all right to send this guy any friggin' producer. No, I'm glad he has it. It's cool. All right, Troy. Anything else on your mind before we head on out of here?
Trying to think, is there anything for this coming up?
What
about our Without Your Head? Are we going to do it Wednesday?
I'm not sure. We'll have to ask Annabelle what day she would like to do it. Because I don't think she wants to be live here on Halloween.
Yeah.
I'll have some recorded interviews we're going to play on Halloween, so that'll be fun. But we were going to do our top 13 mad scientists and doctor episode for Halloween because this weekend, if you're in the Brookline, Boston area, it is the annual Coolidge 12-hour horror marathon. So it runs from midnight till noon the next day, Troy. So it's
nice.
Coolidge after midnight, horror till the dawn. 12-hour marathon. Pretty good too. We'll have to record that sometime. It's a great time. So it's they always have a theme. So the theme is mad scientist movies. The two headliners are The Fly, the 80s remake Fly. I actually personally like. I know most people like the remake better. I actually think I like the original one the best.
I love the old one,
but this remake's fine. And one of my all-time favorite movies, The Invisible Man. And so I don't know what the rest are. They put out little hints. I know one of them is actually a Hammer horror Frankenstein movie.
Oh, no way. Oh, that'll be great. Peter Cushing plays although I can't say it's my favorite Dr. Frankenstein, but it's awesome in different ways. He's he's a much more kind of cold-blooded Dr. Frankenstein. But
cold-blooded. Check it and see.
He's got a fever of 103.
Trying to find the oh, here we go, events. What they do, so how this works is they have the two headliners and they have a big costume contest. So you go up there, they do the costume contest, then they show the two headliners, or maybe they show the two headliners, then do the costume contest, have a little break. That might be what they do. And then the next 5 movies are mystery movies. You don't know. And it used to be when we would go, there wouldn't be a lot of people left by noon. And then they'd give you a special button that says, I survived the horror marathon.
Nice.
But over the years, it's still pretty packed the whole night.
Oh, so they don't give them out anymore?
No.
They'd have to give out too many.
Exactly. Like, we could give this out to everybody. Used to be people were a bunch of, losers.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of
people
lightweight.
are tougher than they used to be.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Hear that.
I don't know if you can see that.
It's some stuff.
This is one of the this is a hint. So I don't know what movie that is.
Oh.
Some crazy ass looking movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
it's the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Brando.
One Brando. Huh. I gotta be honest.
That's a bad movie right there.
I've not seen it in years, so it'll probably be kind of fun to watch, I guess.
It's true. Well, I mean, each of them brings a different thing. Like Island of Lost Souls. I mean, Charles Lawton's awesome in it, and Bela is the lawgiver. But there's a certain part of me that loves the 1970s one.
Who's in it?
That's the one. Oh my God. British guy that always plays the exact same character. He's always kind of the lost guy in a weird place. He was D'Artagnan in the Three Musketeers. Michael York. He's the guy that washes up on shore, and I think it's good old what's his face is Dr. Moreau. I'll never forget him.
Frankenhooker's playing tomorrow night.
Nice. Burt Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Moreau. And Tia Carrera, who looks her probably foxiest in that movie.
So I'm going to ask the audience, Troy. Maybe I don't want to know what it is, I guess, but I don't know what movie this is. So they, like I said, they give you a hint by showing like a still, I guess like a Google image search, but I have no idea what movie this is. Do you?
Whoa. That's good old Dr.
That's a weird ass looking movie there.
Yeah. I like he's definitely a sketchy looking mad doctor.
Yeah. So then we get the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. That's just the new poster. I wish they would put these on shirts or something. They're pretty loud.
That would be nice.
Damn. Oh,
yes. Now you're talking. That's awesome.
Damn, that's exciting. I'm a big
Speaking of price. Yep.
It's probably my favorite Dr. Phibes movie.
Oh, there's Cushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the Hammer Frankenstein movies.
Nice.
Oh, that's the poster with the Invisible Man.
I like that one. Nice. Claude Rains. Can't go wrong there.
No. I think I saw somewhere where they mentioned the Reanimator too.
Oh.
So
all right, then you got it. Then this might be the marathon.
Yeah.
And then that one looks good and like kind of scummy, the Mad Doctor there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what the hell that kind of movie that is.
Dr. Sleaze.
Maybe you have to be like, a certain age to watch that one.
Maybe. What if they'll have Dr. Teeth from the Muppet Show?
That'd be pretty cool.
With Animal back on drums and stuff.
Is that on your 13?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say anything.
Here's a bigger picture. What the hell
cool
movie
gold
is that?
tooth. I don't know. One's got an interesting top on.
Yeah, I thought at first when I was looking on my phone, because on the phone, it's small. I thought like she had a snake on her.
That guy's got one budget syringe though.
Then you go,
Like if you're a good mad doctor, get a big ass syringe with a giant needle on it.
Yeah, I guess you could show her Day of the Dead. Mad Scientist movie. I don't know. There's lots of things you could show, I guess. I honestly could show Human Centipede. I don't know if that's a movie for everybody.
Oh yeah, yep.
All right. Well, it'll be a good time. So the reason why we're doing, we thought it would, it's a nice, it will meld in with the marathon. We're going to do our top 13, how that works. It'll be me, Troy, Annabelle, Justin, Bernard Head, Diablo Joe, Aaron Barocas, and Todd Yeager. And we're going to be here and we're going to run down our top 13 mad scientists / doctors. Dr. Films, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, doctor, mad doctor, creepy doctor.
Yeah. Troy's just going to put our old dentist on there.
Yeah, fucking A. He's there 13 times. Like nobody's creepier than this guy. Had my wisdom teeth out. It felt like Kurt Angle was popping his knee on my jaw and just ripping my mouth apart.
So I'm going to show, it's not letting me download it because I guess it's a naughty trailer, but this is the new trailer from our guest that was on earlier, Michael Todd Schneider, Collins, Creepy and Company.
Oh.
So here we go. We're going to show this one, Troy boy. Apparently it says it's like age restricted. So hopefully you don't get like kicked off the YouTube. So here we go.
Kicked off the internet for this one.
God damn, creepy. How long's it been? Been too long.
Really lost your ass on that Steelers game last week. Now you owe me money.
Gotta lift the ride. Get some money for that boss lady, pay off that debt.
I like that guy.
I like him too. Like the Bubba Ray Dudley of this movie.
Yeah.
Fucking office. You
Who's
know the
that
goddamn
dude?
streets and catch these fucking maniacs.
All right.
Looks like Roadkill from ECW.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Backwoods Bob's in it.
El Generico, I saw.
Oh,
Got the switchblade going.
shit.
Jay White right there. Well, that guy was rocking. I kind of dug him.
All hell is about to break loose with.
Oh.
Hey, there was Michael. Collins, and jump.
Got my eye, you two shit birds.
Got some fun tonight, Creepy Bob.
All right.
Yeah, hell of a ride.
I'm into it.
Yep, I'm down with it.
We'll check this out. Thank you, Michael. If you guys would like your trailer played on the show, send it over to me on Facebook or email withoutyourhead@gmail.com. The only thing I ask, it's got to be one we've not played before. I've got a couple people, and I respect this. That's cool. But you can't send me the same trailer every week.
No.
Yeah.
We want to keep it fresh.
Right.
Funky fresh.
Yeah, there's a dude he literally sends me the same trailer every single week. Like,
Did you ever play it?
Yeah, we played it like 5 months ago. I think I might even played it twice, but like I'm not gonna play it like every week here. So we'll be back next week. If you'd like to help support the show, there's many ways you can do that. You can Venmo Headiverse.
All right.
You could Venmo Headiverse. You could super chat us like earlier. Some fine folks sent us super chat.
Super chat.
So big thanks to Wounded Man Productions.
Hell yeah.
You could PayPal withoutyourhead@gmail.com. We've got a thing right now. If I know it's a lot, but if you want to send $100, you're going to get IMDb credit throughout for the whole year for Without Your Head. You can also send me a banner, and we'll put it up on the website. That's going to be limited, the banner, because I don't have like a millions. But if you want to get one in, this is the time to do it. And I just added this, and we've got a new member here, the Macabre Tavern. Ooh. You can become a Headite here. It starts only $3 a month. Help support the show. There's different tiers. We get the cool stuff. But the basic level is only $3. It's like $3, $10, $50. You know, if you want to go crazy. But yeah, $3 a month. You could help out the show. We appreciate it.
We definitely do.
For being a Headite, you can use these cool new emojis.
Ooh.
So they're 8-bit 8-bit sprites by myself. We've got In a Violent Nature. We've got Thanksgiving by Eli Ross. You can only see these on if you're on the YouTube. We got Victor Crowley from Hatchet.
Nice.
And we have Smash Mouth from Endzone 2. So we may add some more of those, or I might move them around at different times. Who knows? All right. So, yeah, check when we'll be doing the show. We're going to talk about our top 13 mad scientists. Send in your horror costumes for Halloween. Go and do something fun for Halloween. Annabelle and I, we're going to actually dress up as our characters from Arbor Day at the marathon this weekend.
That's tremendous. I can't wait to see that.
So,
but you are not eligible to win a prize, fella. Nor is she.
Well, we could.
Well, you could win a prize there.
Yeah, which I doubt they would. To be like we're giving it to this guy dressed as Steve. Maybe next year, people, then everyone will know the movie. Yep. They're gonna make the Halloween marathon's gonna be Killer Tree themed.
Mm-hmm.
Headlined by Arbor Day.
That's it. And, with Day of the Triffids.
Day of the Triffids. It's an old
with Roddy McDowell with a giant evil tree. I can't remember what the hell it's called.
Someone sent me one. I think it was a Hammer movie. It was like a lesbian vampire movie that had a killer tree in it.
Whoa!
It was. And then there's it came. Is it from hell? Came from hell, something like that. It's like a 50s.
Oh yeah, the totem one, right? The totem monster.
Yeah, you drew them on one of the.
Yeah. From Hell It Came.
From Hell It Came. There we go. It's a very cool name, honestly.
Oh yeah.
All right. So until next week, I'm Nasty Neal.
Which would make me Terrible Troy.
And this is Without
Your
Head.
All right. How y'all doing? This is Ed Gwynn. You probably remember me from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm the guy that saved Sally, killed the hitchhiker, made a mess on an old highway in Texas. I'm here to tell you about Arbor Day. It's a new movie that I've been invited to appear in. And my good friend Neal plays the part of the character Steve, who's a little thick in the head, but he means well. And don't call me Pete, even though my character's name is Peter Build, but that's okay. Story for another time. So in these deep and dark, scary woods, Steve and his buddies are looking for and hunting for a tree, a dangerous, scary tree. So you got the scary woods and a scary tree. Yikes. The only way that this movie can get made, however, is if you guys will pitch in and help us build that scary tree. And we'll put Pete on the trail and Steve in there with his chainsaw and his whatever he uses. We'll find out once you guys contribute a little bit. Look forward to seeing you when you do. Toodaloo. Peter Build out.
Greetings, my fiends. This is Paul Ehlers, Madman Mars, and I'm very excited to tell you that I'm going to be part of a new film by my friends Neal and Annabelle, a new film called Arbor Day. In fact, I'm going to be lending my voice to the character of, well, let's let that be a surprise. I'm mostly here to ask for your help, so if you can, we really do appreciate it. And by the way, it's almost Halloween.
I'm Tim Dry, and I'm coming to you from London in the United Kingdom. Just a little bit about myself, just enough to whet your appetite. I played 2 character roles in Return of the Jedi. One was Jay Quill, a bad boy. One was a Mon Calamari officer. Anyway, I also played the title role in Extra. The point of this little video is to say that A, I have known Neal, Annabelle and Troy for many years now, but I am enormously excited to be a tiny part of their upcoming debut feature, Arbor Day. And I will be providing
the voice of the demon tree. Do you think you're ready to handle this?
Anyway, stay tuned for more info. It's gonna be monstrous.
Ciao for now.